This train goes everywhere you want to go. The grind train. The grind train.
Give me a one-way ticket to anywhere. And a glazed donut. To go!
To go. The grind train. The grind train. The grind train. All aboard.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, T-Bone Erickson. We had T-Bone on the show last week, and he must have had a good time or something, because 2 days ago, that was in my inbox. And now I have a new intro for the show. It's fantastic. I'm so happy. Okay, so disclaimer for tonight. I have always tried to bring as much energy and enthusiasm and be in tip-top shape, preparation and everything for every show ever since I started. And tonight, I'm not feeling well. I am not feeling well tonight. I had some leftover shawarma for lunch, and let's just say that the leftover shawarma hasn't been sitting well. So I took some Diavol earlier, and then I started to feel real tired. So now I'm drinking coffee, which is a diuretic, which is great. That's just I'm mixing medicine with caffeine, and I've probably screwed this up, but I always try to bring you 110% every single week. And this week I am slightly inhibited by my own stomach. Yes. Hey, Lana. Yes, that's T-Bone Erickson that did that. Thank you, T-Bone. And good evening, Rosanna. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to invite the other guys to the stream. We are waiting on the arrival of Mr. Harrison Kopp all the way from Australia. We are waiting on the arrival of Mr. Jeff Stephen all the way from Kingston, Ontario, Canada. There we go. Okay. Hey, Mike Kovacic. Mike Kovacic was on the show back in June, I think. I can't remember exactly when I had you on the show, but I did have you on the show back in like June. And he's since moved to Ottawa. I'm really glad that we can keep in touch, Mike. That's awesome, buddy. Harrison has received the invite. Really nice to see you, Mike. How did you like tonight's episode of The Mandalorian? I'm going to go on record and say that tonight's episode of The Mandalorian was possibly the best one of the entire series so far. Possibly. I'm going to bring on my buddy, my pal, tonight's co-host, Mr. Contrarian Cop. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, thank you. Am I coming through all right?
Sound good. Sound clear.
Excellent.
So I was just talking to the Meat Man, and he's going to give us 10 minutes to chat and see what's up before he joins us.
All right.
I've received yet another list. You were watching last week, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so last week we were talking about that Def Leppard box set. Hey, Brent! Hey, Brent, nice to see you, buddy. Yes. No sleep till Sudbury. Hang on 1 second. Look at that, too. Ha-ha! Merry Christmas to me. Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on a few weeks ago, too. We had a great time. I hope to talk to you again in the new year. Hey, Rob. How are you doing tonight? Okay, so anyway, I received a surprise list in the email. The gentleman that hooked up the Def Leppard box set, he was apparently watching last week.
Ooh.
And so I have to do a correction to something I said last week. I'll wait till 7 before I actually do all that stuff. and he submitted his own Maiden list because he thought that it was such a great idea. So I'm excited to read his list as well. You are very welcome, sir. You are very welcome. I'm so thrilled that you were talking to our little show. You know, you get to call Rick Emmett Uncle Ricky. So to have you on our show was just a thrill, and I'm still kind of blown away that we actually got to do that. And Robert Daniels is good. That's excellent. I had the opportunity to meet up with Mr. Daniels earlier in the week, and we were doing a gift exchange, so to speak. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't know who's watching and maybe receiving, but it was nice to see Rob, but it felt like we were doing a shady drug deal in a parking lot because we're in winter now, so the days are short. It was pitch black outside. We're in a shady parking lot, parked next to each other and passing things back and forth. Welcome to 2020. And Lana says hello to Harrison.
Hello.
That's it?
So far.
So far, okay. Now, I do have to tell you one other thing, which is apparently my father really likes your accent.
Okay. I didn't think I had an accent. I thought I just had a weird voice that didn't fit with any accents. But everyone tells me I've got an accent, and
well, I mean, it's not that you don't have an accent. This is what somebody without an accent sounds. But I told my dad, I said, you know, we're doing the show tonight with the guy from Australia, and he goes, "Oh, cool! I like his accent." That was his word.
Well, I thank him for appreciating something completely out of my control.
I find it interesting that my dad was watching a Judas Priest episode, but and so
Indeed, that as well.
What do you say, for those who are just tuning in now, what do you say we run the train intro again?
Oh, yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Welcome to the show.
Ticket to anywhere and a glazed donut. To go. All aboard.
Gentlemen.
We disappeared, and all of a sudden we have Chef.
That theme song is amazing.
T-Bone.
Yeah.
Well done, T-Bone.
I know I've said it a couple times, but T-Bone's pretty much a dead ringer for Phil Lynott on the verses there.
Yeah.
I hear that. Plus trains.
Yeah.
Harrison, please meet Jeff.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Harrison.
Nice to meet you too.
This is fun because we have a mixture of people tonight who've never been on together before.
Fun.
And after having like 9 people on a few weeks ago, I can't believe that that's even a statistical possibility.
Yeah.
But Jeff is here to talk about the statistics tonight. We're going to do in the Iron Maiden Deep Cut show. And I'm really excited about it. I have a list from myself, a list from Aaron from Keeps Me Alive, and Harrison has his own list. Plus, Uncle Meat will be joining us.
Awesome.
And I've got Hollands.
Right. And we have 3 other lists that are not going to be a part of the graph, that are just going to be ones that we're rhyming off at the top of the show.
All right, perfect.
I was just explaining to Harrison, and this is where I'll get into the disclaimer portion of the show. One moment. I just have to look up the email. So last week we talked about the Def Leppard box set that I was involved with. And I was talking about how that came to be and some of the things that I discussed with the gentleman at the record company who assembled the box set. His name's Michael as well. So I did get one thing wrong, and he sent me an email. And I'm blown away that he saw the show. Like, that's one thing. Yeah. But of course, I had to check out the Def Leppard section. Thrill of your lifetime, eh? Yes, it was. It's so great that you still have the enthusiasm for it. However, I just wanted to clarify one thing you said in the video that was slightly inaccurate. Namely, the bit about the early stuff that Joe Elliott wouldn't release. What I mentioned at the time was that the First Strike bootleg material would never be sanctioned by Joe. Not that no early material would be reissued. We were putting together the early years set at the same time. So the early years set that I talked about last week was not the stuff that Joe Elliott was initially opposed to releasing. The bootleg stuff's a lot rougher. So I promised him that I would read that disclaimer and correct last week's show. Uncle Meat will be joining us. He just wanted to give us a few seconds to chat and catch up. So on that note, hey Jeff, how you doing?
Oh, life is good. Life is very good.
Excellent. I noticed you're not wearing a hat. No hat.
No, so I looked for the Penguins one and I couldn't find it. So if it's a hat policy, we'll do the tragically hip toque. And so
nice.
We've got there you go.
There is no policy per se, but Deke has been somewhat making a tradition of it lately.
Yeah, in honor of Deke, then I'll go with the hip toque.
Lana says hello.
Hi, Lana.
And she really liked the song. And T-Bone's watching.
Yeah, awesome.
So what more could you want? What more could you want than the man himself? Thank you so much for that intro. Troy is basically, he's a friend of a friend, right? Yeah. I have only recently become acquainted with him. We had him on last Friday, and 2 days ago that was in my inbox. So
yeah, amazing.
I'm so amazed. Like, thank you. I guess he must have had a good time on Friday last week.
Yeah.
I kind of want to wait for Meat before we get into the lists, even the pre-list lists.
Yeah.
Because we're just going to run those real quick. But Jeff is here to graph once again tonight. And I did receive an email from you just a short while ago here.
So I shared the two, like the sheets and the slides, but I think last time we shared the screen too.
We shared the screen last time. Okay. That worked fine.
Okay, I'll see if I can get that going again here.
Okay. So Jeff is going to be graphing, I believe, the albums that everything's coming from, so we can see if there's a trend towards certain albums. And he's also going to be graphing a Venn diagram for just the 4 of us, you, me, Aaron, and the Meat Man, to see what commonalities we have. So that'll be interesting. Hello, Meat Man. How are you?
Hey there. Is that all fine?
You are online. I can see you.
Okay. And you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Good. Jeff, hi. How's it going? I don't think we've ever talked, but I did see you.
And likewise.
Yeah. On the Zeppelin show, it was
Yes.
really cool.
The Zeppelin
And
show
Harris-
was great.
Hello.
And of course, the man Harrison. I have a lot of respect for you, and it's good to see you again, man.
Thank you.
For sure.
It's good to talk with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to be on here, man. It's going to be fun.
We were just showing off T-shirts. What are you wearing tonight, Meat?
Shit sandwich
Nice.
from the
Spinal Tap.
from the Nigel Tufnell, from the Nigel Tufnell top 10. You know, there you go.
And if you can point out, we'll point out Jeff's Tragically Hip toque.
Oh, nice. That's
Harrison, how about
Yeah.
you? Are you just rocking a plain gray T-shirt?
No,
Oh,
it's,
he's got the. Okay, good.
the hypotenuse, the math joke, of course. So.
That's cool.
Lana says hello
That's
to
cool.
both of you.
Hello, Lana.
So I'm going to go ahead and start with two lists that aren't going to be graphed tonight, but they just I want to read them because the gentleman took the time to put them together and send them to me. And then
Why
Harrison,
aren't these being graphed?
sorry, Harrison, go ahead.
During
I
the
just would-
Zeppelin one. Sorry.
Sorry.
We can still put it in that spreadsheet, but just they won't go in the Venn diagram. But they can still go on the spreadsheet with the pie chart, though, if that works.
The only reason I don't want to do that with these two lists is that neither of them stuck to 11 songs.
Oh, fair enough.
So, it would, so I don't want to do that with these, but with Aaron's list we will, and we'll do Aaron's list in the rounds like we always do. We'll pretend Aaron is here tonight.
Nice.
So as I mentioned before Meat and Jeff got here, I was talking to Michael from the record company that assembled the Def Leppard box set that we showed off last week. And he got really excited when I said we were doing Iron Maiden deep cuts. So he sent me a list of his favorite deep cuts. And he organized his according to era. So, as per Michael, from the Paul Di'Anno era, he picked Charlotte the Harlot, Murders in the Rue Morgue, and Women in Uniform. From the Bruce era, Flash of the Blade, Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, and Judas Be My Guide. I like that one.
Mm,
From the Blaze Bailey era, Blood on the World's Hands,
yes.
The Unbeliever, and Virus. Although
Oh,
it's a
yes.
single, so by my own standards, Virus would not make it. By my own standards.
Oh, shh.
Then he jumps into the Bruce reunion era with Rainmaker, These Colors Don't Run, and Empire of the Clouds, which was also a single that Meat and I discussed earlier this week. And then he picked 3 B-sides: Reach Out, Sheriff of Huddersfield, and Black Bart Blues. He did not pick any covers except for Women in Uniform, I believe. And he points out that he prefers the humorous Maiden B-sides, which I have no issue with. I like them too. Sheriff of Huddersfield was like an anthem to Bob Shipper and I growing up. And the second list I'd like to read right off the top of the show comes from reader KK. Harrison and I were talking about KK earlier. KK is not to be confused with KK Downing. But KK's been commenting on the site for quite a few years now, and
Yes, I remember his comments.
yeah, not 11 songs, but here we go anyway because he picked some good ones. Remember Tomorrow, Innocent Exile, Children of the Damned, Die With Your Boots On. As a kid, this was my favorite on my very first Maiden cassette. Back in the Village, Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, Only the Good Die Young, Public Enema number 1, Fear is the Key, pointing out that it has a bit of a Deep Purple vibe, which I totally hear. Very Perfect Strangers-y. 2 a.m., When Two Worlds Collide, Blood Brothers, Age of Innocence, For the Greater Good of God, The Talisman, and Shadows of the Valley. That's a pretty good list of songs right there. Anybody who's listening right now can happily listen to any of those songs, really, and I will endorse them. We have a shit ton of comments. Hopping on a Bronze Leg. For me, Maiden lost their way. Wow, that's a hardcore opinion. Interesting. This analysis is way too anal. I would have had Phantom of the Opera, Transylvania, and Genghis Khan. Number of the Beasts is... Man, we're getting a lot of comments here. Rosanna's a 5 beat. Okay.
So Mike, I have a question. I
Yeah.
have just a little question.
Yeah.
Of Jeff's presence and what the rules are going to be. So when, for example, let's say that somebody picks a song that is not on an album, but is associated with that album, or is it counted as being on that album because it was in the era of the album, or is it just B-side by itself?
You mean like Total Eclipse, for example?
Exactly.
We have an other category that I've asked Jeff to include for B-sides and stuff like, say, Virus, for example, or even space trucking.
yeah, exactly. I was just curious. of the rules. That's all.
Yeah, so I've got all the studio albums chronologically, and then other at the end.
Okay, very cool.
Lana asked if Reach Out is a cover, and I guess it technically is. It was an Adrian side project, I believe.
It was written by somebody that out of the band when I think it was the entire population of Hackney, Adrian and Nico, I think, were doing that, and it was written during that period.
Right. Hopping on a Bronze Leg is hardcore. like this is a guy that obviously was following Maiden right in the earliest of days, when they were big, coming up against the punk stuff. So that guy's obviously hardcore. And hey, Kevin, meet the Irons.
Indeed.
All right.
Well, I'm a hardcore Blaze fan, so it goes both ways.
Yes,
I know. Blaze will make some appearances tonight beyond those lists.
Oh, yes.
But not on Aaron. Aaron is a guy
Oh.
who hates Blaze Bailey. Hates him.
I must point out that if anyone puts Invaders on their list, I believe the term is disqualified forever.
What about Gangland?
Oh, that's on my list. Don't worry.
Oh, shit. Oh, Harrison. Can you see what that is?
A green circle of...
I can't make the camera. It's a cabbage. I printed out a picture of a cabbage for you. Okay. Shall we begin the official Iron Maiden Deep Cuts countdown?
All right.
Okay. You lead us and tell us what.
Well, actually, I was going to.
happening.
Oh, shit. Oh, no, we are not ready. Harrison, you have a list to read first.
Hollands, yes.
Right. Okay, let's read Holland's list and then we'll do the countdown. Sorry.
Okay. Sounds good.
Are we graphing this one?
No.
Okay.
There's only room for the four of us on the Venn.
Yeah, okay. So, in 11th place, To Tame a Land, which I suspect will also appear on Solar Brain's list.
Mm-hmm.
In number 10th place, we have Sun and Steel.
Which you hate.
Yes, very, very much so. Then we have Gangland, Total Eclipse, Still Life, Innocent Exile.
Wow.
Drifter, Live at the Marquee.
Just listened to that today. I just listened to it today.
Drifter's always better live with the crowd interaction.
Yo.
Yeah. I always preferred the crowd interaction in Drifter than being shoehorned in Running Free, because it bogs down Running Free, in my opinion.
Agree, 110%. Good call.
Anyway, then in third place, you have Prodigal Son. Then Burning Ambition. And now Holland accidentally gave me 12 songs, but one of them was a single, so I just cut that off. And that was in second place. He had Purgatory.
Okay.
But that gets cut, obviously. And then his top one is I've Got the Fire, Live at the Marquee.
Okay. I didn't listen. I listened to the Bruce version today, and I was just like, I made some changes on my list. Anyway.
I prefer the Di'Anno version.
Here's something I didn't know. Paul Di'Anno's name is Paul Andrews. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I have talked to many Maiden fans who love the Di'Anno era who feel that they got way too proggy. So I know where this guy is coming from. I love these comments. They're freaking great. Okay, so let's start the real lists. So starting the graphs.
Okay.
And as before, I'll put the graphs on the screen after every round.
Right.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's start with Harrison because you're the guest star tonight. And then when we get to Jeff is when I'm going to read Aaron's lists.
All right.
So Harrison, take us off with your number 11.
Alrighty. From the other category, we have A Burning Ambition. And it's a very different song to the rest of the Di'Anno era. It sounds a bit more happier and a bit more upbeat. Di'Anno's a bit more energetic. So it wouldn't fit on any of the albums, but it makes for a really good B-side. And I love the bit where you go from this frenetic solo straight to this up-tempo guitar harmony and then straight back to the energetic singing.
Did you see that?
Great minds think alike.
Great sound.
The term is.
They apparently do.
We will be discussing this song further as we go. So that's cool, Harrison. Incidentally, that is not only from the other category, but that was from the original Running Free single.
Yeah, well, I count B-sides as other.
Right. I just
it's a B-side. It's a B-side to Running Free.
Yeah, yeah. For my own list, I just put the names of the singles too, just so I could say them.
Yeah.
So Jeff Steven, who is representing Aaron tonight,
Yes.
picked for his, and again, Aaron never puts his in actual order, so the order is somewhat arbitrary.
Okay.
Sun and Steel.
Oh.
From Peace of Mind.
Peace of Mind.
Yes, sir.
And you don't like the song, eh?
I hate it.
Well, see, because I have so much respect to you, I can at least appreciate the opinion. I personally love the song. I'm not sure what you hate about it. I'm very curious to know what that is.
Me too.
I don't like the vocal melody, the harmony on the chorus. It sounds really bad to these ears, and the vocal melody on the verses just doesn't sit right with me. I'm more of a Quest for Fire guy.
I can understand that. I don't necessarily agree, but I can hear where you. The melody line on the song is a little campy. I'm not gonna lie to you. So yeah.
Bronze Leg. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to put all the comments on the screen tonight because there's so many. But read Paul Andrews' bio. I have read it, so I guess I probably knew that his name was Andrews at one point. He is a crazy head. He sold the rights to his first two albums. Daft thing to do, but he could hella sing. And hang on, there was another comment here. Yeah, he was done for fraud. Tax evasion, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was disability. Disability fraud. Yeah.
and then after he sold the rights to those Maiden albums, he just went and re-recorded all the songs again on his solo stuff.
Yes. So again, Bronze Leg, sorry, I'm not going to be able to put every single comment on the screen, but I really appreciate them all. Thank you so much. Let's go to the Meat Man with your number 11.
Okay, we're starting with number 11. I will say this. I just wanted to give a thing that has nothing to do with the graph or anything. This is an honorable mention. I'm saying this just for Harrison. I would never put a Blaze Bayley thing on my list. It's never gonna happen. But just for you, I'm gonna put an honorable mention at 12 that deserves, and that is the cover of Dr. Doctor.
Oh yeah.
It is such it's a song that it's literally defined the band and has become, I've seen them now four or five. I've seen them 7 times, and at least 4 or 5 of those times they just play Dr. Doctor. That's how much the song means. So I will say that I very much appreciate that fact. So that's out of the way. No more Blaze Bayley.
Meat Man, am I disqualified if I tell you that I actually prefer the Maiden version of that song to UFOs?
I do too. And same with my generation.
If you get used to it, it is what it is. I prefer the UFO song, but it's probably because I literally heard the UFO song for years before I ever associated it with Van Halen. Iron Maiden just didn't know. It was new for me. So, okay, so number 11.
Yeah, number 11.
Number 11 is a pretty simple one. It is going to be from Power Slave, and it is the song Flash of the Blade. Great song, just fun. I've always loved it. I've always loved the guitar work in it, and I tried very hard in this list to appease Mr. Harrison here and not be picking stuff that is anyway a single, and I think that's a good choice to start off. It's not a single, and it's a great song. So there it is.
I love it. He's a contrarian. Keep that in mind. There's a
Oh, I
great
know.
discussion
I love
going
it. I love it.
Yeah. There's a great discussion going on along the sides about the drummer. Bruce Dickinson has said himself that Clive Burr was the best drummer that Maiden ever had. But Lana brings up that Nico McBrain is funny, and that is something that I agree with too. Rob Daniel says hello to you tonight, Eric.
Hey, it's going, Mr. Daniels.
And Jeff, to start your Venn diagram complexities, I also picked Burning Ambition.
Burning Ambition.
From the Running Free Other single.
Love the song.
Other, yeah.
And just to be 100% sure that I was right with myself picking it, I played it in the car today, and it's a little light by comparison to the album tracks, but it's got a catchy guitar hook. It's got a beat that you can bang your head to. It's got some wicked solos. So yeah, I was comfortable with picking that as my number 11. Make it so.
Could be a while until it could be a while until I get the comment on that.
I'm going to add the graph to the screen. We don't have much to see yet.
Here we go.
As you can see, the other category is dominating. And yeah, that's all we have.
Out to an early lead
so far. It's interesting that B-sides already outnumber album tracks, though. Okay, round 2. You're up, Harrison.
I forgot to give the full rundown of everything I was excluding because this was a very, very monumentally difficult task for me. So I had to cut down the pool of songs I had really, really much. And that wasn't proper English, but it's fine. And so I did no joke songs at the very end. I was considering Age of Innocence How Old, but I just needed to cut a few more songs off. No cover.
Green vocal version.
Yeah.
Since that was what was it
on
released?
the Dance of Death EPK. Yeah.
I believe it was on the Rainmaker. No, not Rainmaker. No More Lies single.
Yeah, that one. No. Then I did no covers because I'd rather talk about Maiden songs.
Yep.
And then the big one, of course, was nothing that's ever been played live. And of course, no singles. So this does skew the results a bit because it means almost the entirety of the Diano era is gone. It means virtually nothing from Blazer's second album, which I'm sure a few people will be happy about.
Yeah, they played the whole thing live except for, I think, Como Está Amigo is the only one.
Yeah. That would have made round the second list that I made. It just missed out on this one. And lastly, that means nothing from A Matter of Life and Death.
That's the two. They played the whole thing live.
Yeah. And with all that said, my number 10 is Reach Out. It's so stylistically incongruent with the rest of the Maiden discography, but it's still great because it's Maiden doing it. It's like this hard rock style, and Adrian singing just really suits it. But then you've got Bruce on the backing vocals coming in just for a gentle reminder that this is still Iron Maiden, you're getting. I reckon this song is good enough that it could have been a hit for another band. I reckon I could easily hear Sammy Hagar singing this. I think the vocal melodies are his bread and butter.
Brian Adams.
Yeah. What album's that from, Harrison?
Oh, sorry. Other.
Okay.
According to a piece of paper that's in front of me, it's from the Wasted Years single.
Yes.
I don't know why it's on this piece of paper in front of me. Thank you, Harrison. We're going to go with Aaron next.
Yeah.
And this is a song we've already seen on a couple of the earlier lists. The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner from Somewhere in Time.
Love that pick.
It's funny. When I was younger, I probably considered that the weakest song on the album, but kind of love it now.
The ending, the outro to that with the guitars is incredibly epic.
Yeah, it really is.
I find that song to have very many different kind of flavors to it and builds. Great drum work by Nico on that. I find on that song. It's just flavorful.
Yeah. Again, more great comments. love to put all of them on the screen, but Miguel says that he thinks it's time for Maiden to release a collection of rarities.
Eddie's Archive 2.
Eddie's Archive 2, or the Best of the B-Sides 2.
The rest of the
Lana,
B-Sides.
Lana feels that Matter of Life and Death had some songs that were a bit too long. There's a valid point to be made there.
I agree with that.
And Adrian has a great singing voice, not just backing vocals. Yeah. Okay, so we've heard from Aaron Stewart. We are on to Uncle Meat with your number 10.
We are. I believe I remember. I just want to make sure I'm on the right one. Yes, I am. Okay.
Oh, you're reading them on the screen.
Yeah. I got them ready. Now, my number 10. This is a song that I love very much, and I'm including it as a favorite cover of mine, but it's not what I'm saying graph-wise. The band Dream Theater gets a lot of flack, and and they're a band that either you hate or you love. It's really, there's really no in between there, and I find them very appreciative to other bands. Like, for example, they have a full live album of Number of the Beast that they did.
Yes,
and
I have that.
And I think that's very cool. I think it shows that they are good music fans as well. Now, I'm saying this because my number 10 is To Tame a Land from Peace of Mind, but I'm saying a big shout out for the Dream Theater cover of the song, because I actually like it better than the Maiden song. There's just something about it. It just seems to skip a little better. The bass is skippier. There's just something about it. So, but I love the song. So that being said, my number 10 is To Tame a Land from Peace of Mind.
Wow. With a little asterisk that it's Dream Theater. Wow.
Yeah, I love it.
Can't graph that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no,
cool.
no, it's Peace of Mind. Peace of Mind.
That's cool. For most of my list, it kind of doesn't really go in order. I kind of went chronologically for a lot of this. Then I made some changes and substitutions, but for the most part, from 10 to 1, my number 1 counts, but everything in between, numbers are irrelevant at this point. But for that having been said, my number 10, I guess if you're going to pick a sword fighting song from Power Slave, you could pick Flash of the Blade, or you could pick the Duelists. And I picked the Duelists from Power Slave.
There you go.
It has a middle section that I really like that's almost like dancing. You know, the guitars are dancing. And it just struck me as the elegance of a duel, you know, with your foils. And of course, Bruce Dickinson is a fencer. So the Duelists is my number 10. And that's
It's
round 2.
memorable.
And we're going to put the graph on the screen.
It's a
Lana,
memorable album.
what's that?
It's a very, very memorable album for everybody, I think.
Yes.
My
Lana mentioned,
grandmother bought it. I'll just let you know, very close to you, my grandmother bought me that album on vinyl at Stanley Park Zellers.
Nice.
where I got my cassette.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Funny. Yeah.
Lana mentioned earlier that the graph seemed blurry. This might be better. That looks better. So, Other is still dominating, with Power Slave and Peace of Mind taking equal chunks, and Somewhere in Time now on the board.
That's awkward because my least 2 favorite 80s Maiden albums are Peace of Mind and Power Slave.
Harrison the contrary. Well, you're up with
Wow,
round 3.
that's
We're on our
crazy.
number 9.
I can't believe that.
All right. Story time again, because I almost had to disqualify myself because I forgot that Virus was a single.
Right.
And number 9 was going to be Virus. However, I was going to put Gangland on my list, and it just didn't make it on the list. And especially after Adrian did that video earlier in the week where he played along to Gangland after all these years, I was just like,
saw that.
I looked at it, I was like, it really should make my list, but I don't want to cut Burning Ambition because I didn't think other people were going to talk about as deep a cut as that. It turns out I was wrong. But I can cut Virus now and put Gangland instead. Gangland shouldn't have been the B-side. It should have been Invaders. Gangland deserved to be on the album. It's just really energetic, and like Bruce comes right out of the gates with the aggression and the drumming as well on it. It's just it's my favorite of the Invaders, Gangland, Total Eclipse trio, easily.
I am not sure how I feel. I love your enthusiasm for Gangland. I just don't know where I feel about my enthusiasm for all three of those songs.
Hate Invaders.
I think it is Invaders. Yeah, for me. But hey, no, that's a great pick. So Gangland from
Number of the Beast.
I did not pick Gangland, but I do have a note about Gangland in one of my picks that are coming later.
Okay. Okay.
Probably Total Eclipse, if I had to guess.
Could be.
Could be.
We have Aaron up next with another song from Somewhere in Time. And this is what I'm going to point out right now. A lot of these songs are turning out to be long bombers. Alexander the Great, which was 8 or 9 minutes long. And between that and Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, for me personally, my money's always been on Alexander the Great. I've told this story before, but in grade 9 art class, we had to do a calligraphy project, and I did the opening lyrics to Alexander the Great. Like drew like a fucking snake or something along the side. It was shit, but it was my maiden representation in grade 9 art class. So that's Aaron with his number 9, Alexander the Great from Somewhere in Time.
Contrarian alert. Contrarian alert. I consider Alexander the Great and To Tame a Land to be the weakest of all the Maiden epics.
Wow.
I still enjoy them, but they're not my go-to epics.
Yeah,
okay,
that's fair.
They have so many. They have so many that that's not even
lot.
that controversial of a statement to say that, those aren't in my top 5 because I've got, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner and, Greater Good of God or whatever, Fantastic pick by Aaron there, though. So we are on to the Meat Man with your number 9.
It's my turn, eh?
Yes.
Well, I believe, yes, number 9 is an instrumental for me, and it is an evil man named Genghis Khan from Killers. It's such a great song. I love the Maiden instrumental. It's noodly and fun and hoppy and skippy. Great job. And that's it. Genghis Khan, number 9.
Genghis Khan. No
Which
relation.
is from the album Killers.
No relation to Chaka Khan.
Killers is the album.
I wish Maiden did more instrumentals.
Yeah, same with me. I agree with you. They should have did more.
I think the closest they've come in recent years were the 2 Vicar songs from the Dance of Death B-sides. Was that Dance of Death that they recorded? Morty Vicar and
I think so.
And those weren't even pure instrumentals because Bruce is kind of like doing a jokey voice over them. But that's as close as they've gotten, I think.
I think there was also, is there any singing in Hocus Pocus's, I believe, Focus? I believe that's the way it goes.
Nico does
he does some yodeling. But,
he's not even yodeling. He's just going like...
Just Nico being Nico, I guess.
Nico being Nico, yeah.
Well, the song is ridiculous, isn't it?
Tom Morwood is the first person to introduce me to Hocus Pocus by Focus. He made me play it in the store, if I'm not mistaken.
That I can see.
Lana has thrown down the gauntlet with Harrison.
I don't hate it. I just think it's incredibly overrated.
So it's me now.
Yeah.
And I'm putting Somewhere in Time back on the map again. And they used to say that Dave Murray wrote a song every 3 years. And for this 3-year cycle, he wrote Deja Vu from Somewhere in Time. And I can see Meat kind of squinting a little bit, but I don't know. Like Somewhere in Time has a lot of songs on it I like. I wanted to go outside the box a little bit. And it was one of those songs that in high school I really liked. I had all the lyrics memorized, and I was a big Dave Murray fan. So Deja Vu, Somewhere in Time.
Dave Murray always writes really good songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Deja Vu was going to make my list, but then I remembered about Burning Ambition. All right, I had to cut it. I figured somebody else would bring up Deja Vu.
What is cool that is happening right now is that we are seeing us scratch each other's itches a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So now that we've done 3 rounds, let's take a look at the graph. Okay, so other and Somewhere in Time are tied with Power Slave and Peace of Mind, tied for second place. Number of the Beast and Killers on the map. Interesting. I honestly did not expect so many B-sides right out of the gates. I thought we'd see a number of them over the course of the list, but not so many so fast. So I'm impressed. We are up to number 8 now with Mr. Harrison, Contrarian Cap.
Alrighty, we're off to the reunion era now with Dance of Death. And we have from that, we have Monsegur.
Oh, interesting choice.
Yeah. The chorus on that rules. Bruce is going really high, and then you've got the guitars going just as high, accentuating it. It makes it sound even higher. And there's this moment like after the chorus, you get this happier, and I use this term loosely because it's not a happy song, but the guitars sound a little happier. You get that after the chorus, and then it just transitions straight to the heavy chugging of the verses, and that just hits really well.
What a ballsy pick. Ballsy. I thought about Munsiger for a few minutes, but it's just too chaotic for me. And you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that vocal part is like he's singing so fast. At the gates.
It's weird. I find that whole album, Dance of Death, to be very thick. It just has there's a lot going on.
It's
in a good way. It's just.
It's a little bloated.
Deep.
To use your metaphor of thick, Brave New World is by comparison very thin sounding by comparison to Dance of Death. But Dance of Death is like lead. It's like concrete with reinforced by lead.
It's funny.
All right. Aaron Stewart's up next, and we were talking about epics earlier. Here's the first appearance, I believe, of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner from Power Slave.
Now, part of me is kind of like, it's that borderline to me. I would never pick that personally as a deep cut.
Nor I, because you and I are from an era, we growing up with Maiden, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner was almost a hit. Especially the Live After Death version. This is what not to do if a bird shits on you. The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. That was a hit to us in the neighborhood. But Aaron, I think, is newer to Maiden than us, so he is not from that. If I'm not mistaken, Aaron, you can correct me in the comments tomorrow.
I wouldn't call it a deep cut at all, but if I was being lenient, I'd look at the fact that it was only played on 3 tours, and 2 of those were directly related to Power Slave, the album it was from.
Right.
I'd give Aaron a pass because I know he's not as stringent as me.
Well, you're the co-host this evening, so your vote is equally as weighty as mine.
That's fair.
Okay, we're on to you, Uncle Meat.
Me, it's me, Anna.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you said that the B-sides were doing well. They're about to do well again.
Coffee. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. I really like the song "Women in Uniform," and I wanted to think about that song as a choice, and then I thought about how Harrison probably would agree that that's not necessarily a deep cut. I mean, there was a video for it.
True.
It was actually, honestly, that's the first Iron Maiden video I ever saw as a kid, ever on the New Music Show. Okay, so I'm gonna go with song number 8, which is the B-side to "Women in Uniform," and it's a song called "Invasion." Oh, and it's very, very heavy punk song. And
Those men are coming. Those men are coming. Yeah. I just listened to it in the car today because I was listening to the best of the B-sides in the car.
So how does he rank that as Invasion as a B-side to a B-side.
Yeah.
How does that?
Like,
How does that get
Double
right?
B-side.
other squared.
Other.
Okay.
Easily one of the
It's
most
another.
punkiest songs they've done.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
love
totally. It's fair. It's like it's like the Ramones, but you know, it's just really punky.
Mm.
Yeah. But then it has that
Yeah.
kind of like triumphant guitar part near the end where it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
it's
Love it.
it's an interesting tune. It's you know, honestly. Okay, sorry, I'm going to put this comment on. We need to do a top 10 rock mustaches list. So we can all put Cabbage Man at number 1. Okay, him and then Phil Lynott afterwards. And geez, this is possible. Jeff, have you ever been a high school principal?
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me. So
Fantastic.
It's funny because I don't like punk songs, but I don't mind non-punk bands doing punk songs, and I don't mind punk bands doing punky covers of non-punk songs.
but just
I'm weird.
What do you think about
Punk is
bands
weird to
like
me.
Max the Axe doing a punk rock covers EP kind of thing?
If Max the Axe came to me and said, "What do you want me to do for the next EP?" I wouldn't say punk, but I'm interested to see what it sounds like. Oktoberfest Cheer sounded good from what I could hear when you played it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, Meat, do I have your permission to share the other 2 songs with Harrison?
Share as in can he hear them?
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
email
Of course,
track.
absolutely, absolutely. You won't go ahead. Now, just to know, I've heard that there are new mixes for that have been done that I have not heard yet.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
you
So
know,
these
but
are
absolutely, absolutely,
for
he is 100% open to
Thank you.
whatever the hell we have. No, not a problem. Not a problem. Now, and I will say this about the punky thing. I have always had a weird thing with punk. I didn't really start totally appreciating punk until I started playing punk on drums with the instrumental band that I'm with, and I've learned to appreciate it. And I mean, it is weird because I wouldn't pick a punky kind of thing for Iron Maiden to do, but it seems to work in that song for me. It just works.
Mm.
So there you go.
Well, you know, as we had Steph Hond from Paul Di'Anno's solo band a couple months ago, I guess it was probably October now. But anyway, Steph pointed out that, you know, a lot of that early Maiden material is very punky, but when he played it live with Di'Anno, I don't know if you guys saw the video clips that Steph posted, but wow,
I've got a Di'Anno live album.
The tempos were just cranked to the max, and Steph personally didn't like that approach as much, but that's what Paul wanted to do. He wanted to fucking blast through the songs, just full throttle, you know?
Yeah, that's weird. I've got a Di'Anno live album. That's true. He cranks the tempo, he cranks the aggression to the max, but he's more of a punk guy, so I'm surprised that he'd go for the uber heavy route for those songs when he's more of a punk guy himself.
Yeah. But there you go, right out of Steph's mouth anyway.
There you go.
Bronze Leg likes the Stooges, Black Flag, and Minor Threat. I think he would find a friend in Aaron. Black Flag.
I do believe there is a Black Flag cover on that Maxi Axe EP.
There is a Black Flag cover on the Maxi Axe EP. How about an email of Maxi Axe song for the Mars Man? I think that could be arranged if that's just keep in mind these are not for review because the final mixes are still coming. Apparently Jeff, I don't know if this person's hitting on you or not. This could be the last show for Jeff. If this continues, he might never be allowed to appear again. I grew up with Maiden as my first Di'Anno. So for Bronze Leg, I am 100% with you, man. Like for me, the Maiden Japan live versions of the Di'Anno tracks are my definitive versions. Live Plus One, I didn't even know existed until I was in my 40s. But you know, I got your back with Maiden Japan.
Technically, I own 3 copies of Maiden Japan.
Really?
Very first one I bought was a bootleg CD that was a soundboard recording of the entire show of the night after, but it was marketed as the full Made in Japan, and that's great. And then I went and bought a Japanese version of the first 10 years, Maiden Japan and what was the other one? Purgatory, because I wanted to have the proper Maiden Japan on CD, but that didn't have Wrathchild on it. So then in a CD and a record store, I saw an Australian vinyl of Maiden Japan, which had Wrathchild, and I bought that as well. And that's on my wall now, framed, because I love the art.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's weird with me with Maiden Japan because like I said earlier, like the first Maiden song I ever saw in my life was the video for Women in Uniform on television, and because I'm old, it was right then that my buddy got Maiden Japan on vinyl, and this is like right when it came out, and I got into that. So like I mean I was fully into Iron Maiden, basically Maiden Japan mostly. And I'd never even heard of Bruce Dickinson at that point. So I literally got to witness that because I'm so old.
Blaze Bailey got me into Iron Maiden.
There you go. It's what you're used to. It's what you've grown accustomed to.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I got to close off this round, guys.
Yeah.
And I won't overspeak it because Reach Out from Other has already been picked once. So yeah, Reach Out from the Wasted Years single. Again, that's my grade 9 year. And I was not opposed to that kind of song being on a Maiden B-side at all. And I wanted to hear more from Adrian Smith. And, it took a few years for him to come out with his first solo, and nothing on it was nearly as impressive as Reach Out. But that's my pick.
Nice.
And then as soon as Jeff is ready, we'll put the graph up on.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more complex now. Oh, shit. There we go. Other, dominating. Power Slave and Somewhere in Time in second, tied for second. Peace of Mind in third. And then we have Dance of Death on the charts with Killers, Number of the Beast. And
Wow.
it's interesting. I wonder, we've only got one reunion era Maiden appearance so far. And I guess if we were not grouping these as other, we would be seeing the Blaze Bailey era showing up. But it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm really, really curious how this is going to go. Question for Contrarian. Is your dad the manager of Liverpool FC?
No, I'm not a Liverpool fan.
This is Australia right here. This is Australia. So
I'm a West Ham fan because Steve Harris.
There you go. Well, Harrison, that's a perfect segue into your number 7.
Alrighty, we're going to take a trip to the 90s, but not with Blaze. We have from Fear of the Dark, we have Judas Be My Guide.
KK picked that song, didn't he?
Yeah. There's a couple. I'm going to be saying the same thing about a couple songs because they all fit. They're like short, up tempo, and they've got like good vocal melody on the verses. It really complements each other, so it sounds great. And then it ramps up for the chorus as Bruce increases his volume and like how high he goes. And then it hits with like a really good chorus. In this case, it's the vocal harmony on the Judas Be My Guide. There's a couple of Bruces going there, and then you get this really frenetic flurry of notes solo. But even though it's a flurry of notes, it still has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's well structured. The bridge does kind of bog things down a bit, but then the final chorus just punches everything back straight to awesome.
The bridge is very short.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head if that's Dave Mariko, right?
I wouldn't be surprised.
It strikes me as a Dave Murray. I'm looking it up. So Jeff, that was from the Fear of the Dark album.
Yep, we're good there.
And looking at the track list right now, Judas Be My Guide, Dickinson Murray. There you go. So that is a Dave Murray co-write. And by that time, he was writing them more frequently than every 3 years. Fantastic pick, Harrison. Glad to see Fear of the Dark on the board because I think it had 6 qualifying tracks.
Yeah. I'll tell you now that no album appears twice on my list except for Other, of course, which is interesting.
I took the exact same path as you.
Yeah. Not by choice, simply just because that's how it happened.
I believe I have one album that has 2 only.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I have 2 albums with 2. Sorry.
Okay.
That'll be a lot of pie slices, though, so that's great.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
We're on to Mr. Aaron
Perfect.
Stewart and the very first appearance of the most recent Book of Souls album.
Yes. My favorite Maiden album of all time.
Wow.
Musical
Interesting.
perfection.
Oh, and just as I said that, Lana says, how come nobody's mentioned the final frontier of Book of Souls? No, it doesn't mean their new material's
No,
not
Lana,
that good.
it does not. Book of Souls is like musical perfection.
I think we'll be seeing Book of Souls at least once more tonight. But for Aaron, he picked, and there's so many to pick, he picked the red and the black.
Mm.
And, that is one song that went over really well live, if I'm not mistaken, on the Book of Souls live album. A great pick. I don't know. The thing about the Book of Souls, Lana, and Final Frontier as well, for that matter, I find that the more recent albums, they're just not in my soul yet. Not the same way. The other ones have had more time. And it was the same when Dance of Death or Brave New World came out. I could have said that I don't really feel those albums the same way. But now, it just takes time.
I've got a point similar to that. For me, Book of Souls is now part of the Maiden, just the family. I don't consider it the new album. It is one of the albums to me now. Short aside, I do think that Final Frontier is the worst reunion era album, but it still has some really great songs. But what I was saying is, when I listened to the Book of Souls live chapter when it came out, it wasn't the best listen because you'd get like classic track and then you'd get new track, and it would really be jarring because, of course, the Book of Souls hadn't had that time to be absorbed into the discography yet. But I listened to the Book of Souls live chapter a month or two ago, and it was just a really good listen, really congruent. I reckon it sounds better in 2020 than it did when it came out.
The fun thing about this chat is that we're all going to be going back and listening to Maiden all weekend.
Oh yeah, this is making me way more curious about stuff like a Final Frontier and Dance of Death and Book of Souls than I have been. And Mike, I agree with you in a way. Like, I think that's just the way it is. It's like you're so used to what you've been cemented with Maiden that you totally appreciate the new stuff, and they're still rocking and these albums are good. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you chew on them. You just kind of pass by them, and someday you will. But when that day hasn't necessarily came yet. So,
and here's another fact for you, Meat. When I was a young guy listening to Iron Maiden for the first time, like Lana's age, I had, let's say, 2 cassette cases, and each one held 60 cassettes, and they weren't full. So let's say I had, on the generous side, 100 albums in my collection back then when I was a kid, and you're listening to the same 100 albums all the time. Well, now, I've got thousands of albums, thousands, plural, thousands. So, and I try to give everything a fair shot. There's stuff that might only get played once, ever. And then I want to come back to my old favorites again, too. So just out of sheer math, there's no statistical way. There's no statistical way that I'll ever listen to the Book of Souls or the Final Frontier as much as Peace of Mind or Power Slave. And that's just the unfortunate fact of the universe.
Yeah, the math checks
out. The math checks out.
You never know. There's a chance that Harrison might actually be curious enough to at least to attempt some Blaze Bailey. Can't promise it, but the thought is there, and that's better than it's ever been. So,
neat. Like I said, I'm kind of going chronologically a little bit. So when we get to me a little later on, I'll have a couple of my own recommendations for you.
Okay, whose turn is it? Is it mine?
Yeah, with your number 7.
Number 7. Well, speaking of Harrison, he's about to puke because he don't like it. And my number 7 is from Peace of Mind.
Oh dear.
It is the campy Sun and Steel. Now, it's funny because I can see why you don't like it. But the thing is, the reasons you don't like it is exactly the reasons why I fucking love it. So like, I just find I love the melody. It's a different approach that Maiden takes in that song, almost like it's a pop song. And I like that they even had the balls to do that, in the Peace of Mind era. So number 7, Sun and Steel, Peace of Mind.
Here's I have to put this on the screen because I just got the song immediately in my head. Out of the winter came a war horse of steel. Never killed a woman before.
Yes.
I know how it feels. Sanctuary from the law, which was a single.
All right.
Oh, I hate the Bruce versions of this. I really don't think Bruce's voice fits Sanctuary, and I really do think it's overstayed its welcome on live albums. It's on like Live After Death. It's on the 88 live album. I think it's on a couple other live albums as well.
One? Let's see if it's. I don't think it's on.
I don't
No,
necessarily like. To be honest, I don't necessarily like a lot of the versions I've heard Bruce Dickinson do of Deano songs. I never really have. Don't hate it, but I don't really like it.
There's a handful of ones that I think Bruce can do pretty much as well as Paul. And that does remind me, I hope Twilight Zone appears on a list, but I don't think it will.
We'll see. I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, that because I'm going chronologically, it's not.
Yeah.
But because I'm going
just lopped off mine right there.
Okay.
Because I'm going chronologically, we were just at the Somewhere in Time era with my previous pick, Reach Out. So that puts us at Seventh Son of a Seventh Son now. And I picked Only the Good Die Young.
Foreshadowing. Stole my thunder.
You know, there's a lot of tracks that you could consider deep cuts, and there's a lot that maybe you couldn't. Like Moonchild, for example, is not a single, but I wouldn't call it a deep cut either. I mean, it's the opening song. Prophecy I considered, but in the end I figured Only the Good Die Young has got that. It's just got that punch.
Is it fair to say that there isn't a bad song on that album?
No.
If there was, it would
There
have.
isn't.
If there was, the only thing that even comes close to that would be Prophecy, because I think if there's a lull in the second side, it's Prophecy, but that's not a bad song. It's just there's a peak and then there's a valley and then it goes to the end.
I pretty much think every song is great. So,
yeah. The thing is, the only reason we look at Prophecy and we're like, that's a bit of a lull is because every other song is so good. It just overshadows. Prophecy is a really good song. It's just overshadowed by literally every other song.
When I say it's a bad song,
correct.
I don't actually mean that. I mean, it's like, here's the album, it's like this.
Yeah.
Or
You're
more like
correct.
this. It's more like this, with Only the Good Die Young at the end. And then, of course, the repeat of the Seven Deadly Sins hook from the very beginning of the album is so great.
So it's Jeff time now, right?
Yeah. I'm just going to get Lana's comments on here. She's loving the discussion. T-Bone is giving a shout out to Twilight Zone. Rosanna's loving the discussion. And yes, so we're going to put a look. We're going to take a look at the pie chart.
Lots of slivers now.
Lots of slivers. So we have tons of albums on the chart now with the Book of Souls, Dance of Death, Fear of the Dark, Seventh Son, all with one apiece. Killers and Number of the Beast, one apiece. Peace of Mind and Power Slave and Somewhere in Time, all three-way tie there for second place with full 1/4 of the list dedicated to B-sides. That's pretty cool. I think we see patterns forming.
And on my other sheet with the lists of the songs, it's nice. Mike and Harrison, you guys have a couple tracks overlapping, and Meat and Aaron have a track overlapping. So we're starting to get some common ground here too.
Nice.
Let's just say there's going to be more overlapping.
Well, I was kind of hoping we'd see a generous amount of overlapping. Otherwise, Jeff would be like twiddling his thumbs.
Well, no, it's great. It's a learning experience for me because the book I'm going through, the 1001 Albums You Must Hear, it's only got these two on it. And so I know these and I really like these, but I've still got much more to see. And so this is a great sort of like to-do list of like, oh, I'll check that out. So
you know what, Jeff? Speaking of learning experience, since we're at the halfway point, we'll pause for a minute and talk to you.
Sure.
You had to. We thought Deke was going to be able to make it tonight. Unfortunately, he can't. He's a little beat up. But you had to innovate a 5-way Venn diagram, and I've seen it, and it was insane. Tell us about the 5-way Venn diagram for a moment.
Yeah. So I was attempting to do it with circles, and it was just I couldn't get it so circle A overlapped with circle E, and so eventually I caved and looked it up, and it turns out you can do it with ovals. So instead of circles, if you do it with ovals, and it's this ridiculous combination of things. So it's, although I'm sorry not to have DK, of course, the fourth set is a little bit more manageable with just 4 ovals overlapping. And so yeah, I'll eventually cue that up later once I figure out who's overlapping with them. And it's yeah, it's a bit ridiculous, but it's fun though.
When you sent me it didn't even occur to me at the time that 5 people, a Venn diagram, what would it look like? And then when you sent it to me, I was like, oh my God, this thing is nuts.
Yeah. and I'm someone who's like, I am a math enthusiast, but just looking at it, it's like, this is overwhelming for me. And so that's crazy.
Awesome.
I will say that this guy goes above and beyond the Call of Duty because we didn't ask for the Venn diagram. This was his own doing, really. I was kind of more interested in the pie chart, but now, of course, with some trends forming, the Venn diagram is going to be just as interesting when we get some more meat on the bones. So we are now in the top half of this list. Mr. Harrison, you're number 6, please.
Number 6, which is number 1, you'll have to wait to find out. But number 6 is Back in the Village from Power Slave.
Nice choice.
And it's very similar to what I'm going to say about Judas Be My Guide. You have the really complimentary verse melody, ramps up, and you get that really good payoff in the chorus. And did you catch the joke I made in my intro about number 6? Because it's, The Prisoner.
Oh, who is number 1?
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, number 6. You'll have to. Which one's number 1? You'll have to wait for that.
That's funny, actually. Yeah. The Prisoner. Yeah, and that's a good choice.
Yeah. Sorry, I just
it was kind of between Flash of the Blade and Back of the Village for me. It was kind of hands.
Power Slave is one of those albums that I grew up on. So, hearing these deep cuts, it's really cool how, frickin' 35 years after I bought Power Slave, how Harrison's digging these songs,
I saw the Power Slave tour.
Whoa! You are number 6.
Yeah, I saw the Power Slave tour in 1983 or 84 with Twisted Sister opening.
Nice.
I believe
that's old.
I believe that what Bronze Leg is referring to here is the place where The Prisoner, the island, was filmed. That's kind of cool. T-Bone is also not a number.
He's a free man.
He's a free man.
No, he's a letter.
He's a letter. Okay, so we're on to Aaron Stewart with the very first appearance, I believe, of A Matter of Life and Death. And I had the same struggle as Aaron trying to pick one song from this album, and Aaron picked a really good one with a chorus that goes on for years called "The Longest Day."
Great album,
and, great chorus.
Yeah.
Did you like the graffiti on the pyramids of the Power Slave cover? Dude, when we were kids, I didn't have the LP, but my next door neighbor did. And we would literally sit in his bedroom looking at all the hieroglyphics and trying to figure out, the location is in Wales, but it's actually not an island. You learn something every day. Okay, so The Longest Day, Matter of Life and Death. I don't have a lot to say about that one myself, so I'll throw it over to Meat.
Okay, well, what you were saying earlier about back scratching, it seems like I got a bunch of that coming up because number 6 for me has been talked about already, and it is from an album that I believe doesn't have even a weak moment on it. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, and the song is Only the Good Die Young.
Wow.
Love.
Wow.
I believe me, this was all done beforehand. I love the song. I remember them playing it live at one of the shows that I saw, and that song was so good live. It was just so much fun, and what a great song. So that's my number 6 from Seventh Son. Yeah, there you go.
Jeff, have you heard that album?
Not yet. No.
It should be in that book.
I will tell you that it's probably Maiden's smartest album. Would you agree with me on that one, Meat?
Pretty close.
Yeah,
It's their most progressive album.
Okay.
It might not be on
the best writing.
It's not the kind of album that would necessarily make the 1001 list because it doesn't really have the notoriety of Number of the Beast, but it does have the Can I Play with Madness single, which was still a big hit. I believe it's on this thing.
Yeah, that's a big hit.
Can I Play with
No.
Madness? No, it's not on
Evil
here.
That Men Do.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I misspoke. My number 6 is I skipped over No Prayer for the Dying because I truthfully couldn't pick any songs from that I liked enough to bump out another song. And ultimately, I also skipped Fear of the Dark because to me, the best songs in that album are either singles or live standards. So I skipped both those albums, went straight to Blaze Bayley, the X Factor album, and I had to pick one song because, again, I'm kind of going chronologically and trying to give all the albums a fair shake, and I had to pick just one, and the one song that wasn't a single that jumped out at me, Look for the Truth, which was the side one closer, and it's got a good punch to it.
If you think that's got punch, sorry to interrupt, Blaze Bayley on his 2009 live album Alive in Poland, he does look for the truth. And that version is so powerful, so heavy, so energetic. It's got so much more punch than the album version. I reckon that listening to that could convert someone to be a Blaze Bayley fan. That version is that good.
Okay.
Oh, I will give that a look. See, you're saying that's on the Blaze Bayley
Live in
solo
Poland.
album?
Yeah,
Live in
in Poland, yes.
Okay. I will check that out.
Here's an interesting fact for you. Prisoner TV series was supposed to take place in the Mediterranean, but was the Welsh coast. I didn't actually know it was supposed to be the Mediterranean. I figured because they were all English, it was supposed to be, one of the British Isles.
But sorry, please continue with Look for the Truth.
I'm going to get the exact lyrics up because there's one part of it that I really like. And, you can say what you like about Blaze Bayley, but he did the job that he was hired to do, right? Here's the line that I like. Just got to find it. Here it is. It's my final stand. I make a fist out of each hand. I don't know. I just like that part. All these lyrics are Steve Harris's anyway. I don't know. Look for the Truth. It's just got a punch to it, and not a lot of that album did. So that's my number 6, I think that was. And we'll take a look at these graphs.
Graph time.
Edge of Darkness was played live, so it couldn't make my list, but I would like to give it a shout out because it's my favorite song on the X Factor.
Yes, it was played live. I think it was even a B-side. So we're seeing some more songs with some commonalities here. Sun and Steel, Burning Ambition, Reach Out, Only the Good Die Young. And yeah, that's cool. Let's take a look at that pie chart.
Oh, and there we go.
Okay. Wow. All of a sudden, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is taking up some space there. We have, okay, Book of Souls. We have Matter of Life and Death, Dance of Death, The X Factor, Fear of the Dark, Killers, and Number of the Beast, still only with one apiece. And the other category is slightly shrinking by comparison, but still clear winner.
Wow.
Interesting. Harrison Kopp. We are now at number 5.
And we are back to the reunion era. And if you remember, I did say that the Final Frontier was, I thought, the weakest of the reunion era album. But it does have some really good songs. And one of those is The Alchemist. It's got this really cool harmony riff. And the past couple songs I've been talking about how you get it sort of ramps up for the chorus and then you get the payoff. But in this case, it does a little better because it ramps up and then it doesn't give you that payoff. It gives you like I don't want to say flat, but you get like chorus part 1 isn't, like the highest energy. And then for chorus part 2, you get like extremely high notes off Bruce, and it really just gives you that payoff. And because you get that contrast of like ramping up and then subversion of expectations, and then you get hit. It just hits even harder. And you've got a really good solo that goes into a harmony, a guitar harmony as well.
Good pick, Harrison.
Yeah,
I can hear the song in my head as you were describing it. That's cool.
I'm glad that you're representing some of these eras. Like Alana is her name that commented on that, right?
Yeah.
She made an interesting point. Like she was kind of disappointed that those albums weren't getting more love, and I'm appreciating that Harrison has a bit more of a not understanding, but more of an affinity or an appreciation for them because it's what he's into, and it just shows you the depth of the band and what you. There's so many parts of it that you can get.
I love every Maiden album dearly.
That's nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Jeff T-Bone says the graphs are super cool. Yes, they are. So Aaron Stewart goes next with his number 5. And I believe this is the first appearance of the Brave New World album.
Not the last, I'll tell you that.
Nice.
And he picked Blood Brothers.
Oh.
And that's a song that I quite like as well. It's got a great chorus to it. That made an appearance on Rock in Rio. And I don't think it's made an appearance since.
On Vivo.
Oh, it is.
And the Book of Souls live chapter. And that, I do have something to say. I don't mind Blood Brothers, but I hate how it keeps getting like played because it's like this slower song and it's a longer song. That could have been something else, more of a deep cut, but it gets played so much because of just the lyrical content. So it's not my favorite song for that reason, because, you know, Maiden set lists are notoriously stubborn in this day and age. So every time they play Blood Brothers, it's a case of, well, that could have been something off A Matter of Life and Death. That could have been Benjamin Brieg or Brighter Than a Thousand Suns or something. But it's just Blood Brothers again.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Because I'm how the heck do you know, just off the top of your head, without even looking, that Blood Brothers was also on En Vivo and Book of Souls live chapter? Like, I'd have to look in my folder to know that.
I just have a really good memory. Actually, I'm not 100% sure of On Vivo, but I do have it back here. I'll check.
Okay. This is cool. Like,
Blood Brothers.
He's like a Maiden encyclopedia, this guy.
Blood Brothers is on there. I just have a really good memory. I'm good at remembering useless trivia.
Ooh, Lana just dropped the name of a big deep cut. The thin line between love and hate. That's a neat song. When you got Maiden Long Bombers, again, would it make my top 5? No, but dude, I mean, we're getting some cool names thrown out here. And Bronze Leg, quite like Total Eclipse as a B-side. Nobody's picked it. But yeah, I don't know if it's an easy riff. Not an easy riff for me.
I'm surprised it hasn't been picked, because I thought that any Maiden fan worth their salt loves Total Eclipse and hates the fact that it's on the B-side. Evidently not.
Then again, we are a small pool here.
Yes,
yeah. We are up to meet with your number 5.
Number 5 for me. Okay. Wow, number 5. I think it's pretty much, it would be hard to argue that Martin Birch is the best heavy rock producer of all time. Just the depth of everything.
Machine
Rainbow.
Head.
Rainbow, Deep Purple. It just goes on forever. Now, one of his greatest things for me was that he did the band Wishbone Ash, which is a band that I think more people should get into, and absolutely was very, very influential on what Iron Maiden does. And it seems that all of you should be getting into Wishbone Ash, because my number 5 is a little song that was the B-side for Running Free, because it sounds almost exactly like the Wishbone Ash I love. Burning Ambition, number 5. And if you all love that song, then you fucking need to listen to Wishbone Ash. And I'm going to say right now, just go and find the album Argus, Argus, Argus. Listen to it, you'll love it.
You're listening to Blaze for me, so I'll listen to Wishbone Ash. You're listening to Blaze for me, so I'll listen to Wishbone. I'll even review it actually this week.
Please do. I think you'll love our. If you like, if for whatever reason you really appreciate Burning Ambition, then you'll love Wishbone Ash. I believe that.
Here's I'm going to put this question up on the board, and we're all going to answer it. How old were you guys when you first heard an Iron Maiden song? For me, it was Christmas of '84. I was 12. Harrison.
I'm going to make a small diversion here. I first heard an Iron Maiden song, it would have been 2013. I would have been 14, but it was Wasted Yet. But I don't have any memory of what I even thought of it. I don't even have any memory of actually hearing it. I just know I heard it. So I'm going to go with a couple years later, Best of the Beast, 2 CD, and it would have been Virus, the opening track, but it was Man on the Edge that hooked me.
But how old were you?
I would have been 15 or 16 then.
Jeff, how old were you when you first heard Iron Maiden?
I would have heard Run to the Hills in my late teens. But speaking of wasted years, I didn't get an album until my 30s, and so it hasn't been long enough.
That's very punny. Meat Man, how old were you? 9?
Well, first thing I need to do is ask the encyclopedia up there. When did A Woman in Uniform come out?
80.
80 or 81, one of the two.
Okay. The first Maiden I ever heard was in my friend Shane McDonald's basement watching the new music, and I saw the video for Woman in Uniform and just got my mind blown. That was my first Maiden.
Ron Slade was 13 years old. T-Bone was 13 years old. That's pretty cool.
There you go.
So we're on
a cover. Sorry, I just want to throw another great song out there. It is a cover, so it wouldn't make my list. But the cover of Budgie's "I Can't See My Feelings" is really good.
It is good. That is a good cover.
It is good. Yeah.
And it was only on like the 12-inch single of From Here to Eternity, so it's not very well known. I just want to throw that one out there.
Only the 12-inch. Well, I know it's not on the CD single.
It's why you didn't review it. You didn't review it when you reviewed your 1995 2 CD of Fear of the Dark, because it didn't include it. Because you reviewed Fear of the Dark, and then you went and reviewed the singles and their B-sides, but you did CD, so you missed the 12-inch single.
Interesting. So I got to catch up and add that.
Oh, I already pointed it out a year or two ago.
Yeah, but I need to review it, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
My number 5 is the first appearance of the Virtual 11 album, starring Blaze Bayley on lead vocals. And I picked The Educated Fool. And the reason I picked that song is I spent a lot of evenings during the winter of '98 listening to that album and playing James Bond GoldenEye on the N64. And there's a number of songs that kind of really remind me of that setting, because I listened, that was a new release album at the time. But The Educated Fool is one that just really still hits me. It's got that nice, quiet, melodic intro, and then it gets kind of heavier towards the end. And again, Blaze was hired to do what he did, and he did a fine job on the Virtual 11 album.
Virtual 11.
I love it.
I love Virtual 11, and it has my favorite cover art of all time.
Not mine. No, not even close. Not even close. One of my least favorite.
Wow. You guys are contrarian like each other.
All right, graph time.
Graph time.
So I'm excited. We've now got into the 3 columns for Burning Ambition. Just
yes.
If Aaron picks it, we've got the 4 for 4, and then the pie.
Okay, so clear domination now with B-sides. Power Slave pulling ahead with a clear second place. Peace of Mind, Somewhere in Time, tied for 3rd. Seventh Son in 4th, and a huge smattering of studio albums here. It's almost a question of which studio albums are missing at this point. We got Final Frontier, Book of
The
Souls.
debut is missing.
Sorry?
The debut is missing.
The debut is missing, and possibly because there's nothing on there that you could call a deep cut.
And No Prayer for the Dying, but that won't be missing forever.
Interesting. Foreshadowing. Hey, Harrison, what's your number 4?
We are going to the Blaze Bayley era for the first time on my list.
Okay.
Now, this is, I'm not sure what I'd classify this because it was, and this might give it away to those in the know, it was a B-side and it was a Japanese bonus track to the X Factor.
We need to take this to the jury. Jeff,
Yep.
a B-side that was also on the Japanese album of the X Factor. Where would you graph that?
Oof.
X Factor? With its
So it did appear on a version somewhere of the album.
Yes, it did.
Mm.
Yes, it did. A version that taunted me with its price tag at HMV Young Street back in 98-ish.
Taunts me every day.
Yeah. I'd probably defer to the encyclopedia. So
Oh, you're
X Factor.
it's like the jury throwing it back to the arguing defense.
send it back to the
lawyers.
judge.
But Meat has to weigh in still. The Supreme Court
yes.
has to weigh in. What do you say, Justice Meat?
I say X Factor, but I'm not adamant. I don't know exactly how you'd go, but it relates more to X Factor.
I'm going to go with X Factor too.
Yeah.
Let's call it X Factor.
That works.
All right. Now, there are 3 songs that are Japanese bonus tracks to the X Factor, The Brain. Would you like to guess which one has made my list?
Okay, so we have Justice of the Peace,
Mhm.
Judgment Day, or I Live My Way.
All very good songs, but I resolved to only pick one from my list.
I Live My Way.
No,
Oh,
it was Judgment Day.
okay.
It's pretty relentless, and Blaze gets like a nice showcase of his vocal talent. Not like hitting really high notes, but like where his forte is, that more mid-range with a bit of aggression to it. But the reason it's so high is after verse chorus, you get to this atmospheric bridge, and the whole song just changes gears and changes tone. And this atmospheric bridge goes into like this slow solo that starts to build up, and then it returns to the chorus again, which is just like, by your deeds you will be known, time will tell, truth will show, and then it goes straight into the chorus, and it just hits it. Now, I used to think that the X Factor would have been better with these 3 songs on it, because it would have made the balance of rock to soft better, and it would have made it more stomachable to the masses.
Yeah.
But just a couple of months ago, I was thinking the X Factor is such a congruent, brooding, dark, soft. It's got this slow burn, less is more approach, that I actually think that putting these 3 rocking songs on it would actually dilute the X Factor, and I think it's better without them. Which helps me as well, because I'm not as inclined to purchase the very pricey Japanese version.
I love that answer. You're right. The X Factor, I was trying to look at for the right word, but congruent is the right word. It's not a concept album, but it is a theme album, and the theme of darkness and depression. These are the things that Steve Harris was experiencing at that time of his life. I was going to say he was dealing with a divorce, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
And almost the breakup of his band. And I believe it was it Dave Murray that kind of kicked him in the ass and said, no, we are not stopping. We are not letting Bruce end this band. It was Dave Murray who kicked his ass.
So what I was saying about the less is more, sorry to interrupt again, with the X Factor, like, I never get tired of listening to the X Factor song, because say Fortunes of War, you have slow bit, soft bit, you get a bit of guitar, slow bit, soft bit. And then when it does get going and stuff, it's really good. And same with the X Factor, but you only get just enough to whet your appetite that you're always like, I wish I could have had more of that. Because you're not like over spoiled with it. You're never like listening to the song and be like, oh, I've heard one verse, I've heard the rest of the song, because it's all the same. It's as I said, it's like a less is more approach. And I think that really works for the style of the album.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I didn't expect a less is more approach when Maiden released an album in 1995. but that's what we got. And with the benefit of 2020 hindsight and knowing that Bruce came back and they returned to a more classic Maiden sound, the X Factor is perfectly acceptable to anybody now because it was a blip, you know. And if you want to, if you like bands with a varied discography with blip,
Yes.
you know, Judas Priest or another band like that, you could consider Turbo to be a blip.
Yeah.
The X Factor is a great album to check out, and so is Virtual 11.
I honestly think that one of Maiden's biggest strengths is just the sheer variety across their discography.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either.
Absolutely. Without question.
I'm going to go with Aaron Stewart's number 4. And I don't consider this one a deep cut myself. 22, Acacia Avenue, from The Number of the Beast. So The Number of the Beast is finally getting a second vote here. But for me personally, I would not pick that.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's close to a deep
too
cut.
much exposure. What's that, buddy?
It's close to a deep cut.
I suppose it's close, but to me, like, I don't think I picked anything that was on Live After Death, because to me that album is just such a landmark.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's Aaron's Number of the Beast, 22 Acacia Avenue. Which
the thing is, when you look at B-sides, like, there's like two sorts of approaches. Like, if you only listen to the live albums, you'll get a very different idea of how much something was played live. Whereas if you're the type of person who goes to the shows and watches the videos on YouTube, you'll know, oh, 22 Acacia Avenue was played on the Early Days tour, and it was played on this tour, which you didn't get live albums out of. So Aaron, probably because he's a newer fan, he probably not as well versed in which songs were played on which tour. So 22 Acacia Avenue could be a deep cut for him, but I'm more partial to the first song in the Charlotte saga.
Aaron
I lean more towards what Harrison's saying as well. That it's a bit more understandable to me that it's a deep cut, even though yes, it's on that live album.
I'm curious to get Aaron's comments when this goes up tomorrow. If I remember correctly, he was kind of discovering a lot of Maiden while I was reviewing them back in 2012, 2013. He was following along, if I remember correctly. Meatman, this brings us to you for your number 4.
Number 4, more back scratching, Mike. From another one of my favorite albums by them. It's kind of hard to find a really bad track on this album. It's some great songs. It's been talked about before. It is from the album Somewhere in Time. And it does feel like deja vu that we've heard about this before. We have. The song is Deja Vu. I love the song. One of my favorite Maiden songs. Just everything about it. They had a way of just dealing with melody in that era that was just timeless. Awesome. There it is.
I think Deja Vu has some of Bruce's highest singing ever.
Yep. Indeed. And it worked.
Yeah. You know what's weird is when that song came out, I was having deja vus like there was no tomorrow. And I don't know if you guys have ever had a deja vu, but it is a really trippy, weird experience. Like, you literally have had this conversation. You've seen this picture before. You've seen the picture. You've heard the conversation. It's a really weird feeling. And it's not like you can tell what the person is going to say before they say it. But as soon as they say it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's what they were going to say. It's a weird feeling.
But remember, all of these were long before I'm not copying nobody.
No, we didn't discuss any of this.
I know.
The only thing we did discuss was Empire of the Clouds. You asked me how I felt about that being a single, and I said I think it is a single. That was
actually that's not true. You and I never discussed that. The only thing we discussed was
that was Aaron.
The Dream Theater. The Dream Theater. The Dream Theater with the Tame of Land. That's the only one that we discussed.
Sorry, you are right. It was Aaron that I discussed Empire of the Clouds with, and Aaron and I talked, and he said, does this qualify as a single? And I said, in my opinion, it does, but it's your list. Do whatever you want.
I'm glad you reminded me of Empire of the Clouds this morning, because I was kicking myself last night because I thought I forgot it. I'm going to have to disqualify myself now.
I'm going to go with my number 4.
Yep.
Dance of Death album. And Harrison couldn't pick this one because it was on the Death on the Road CD.
Mm.
But Passchendaele is such a fucking awesome song. It's an Adrian Smith co-write, and to me, you can tell. It has the Adrian Smith trademark kind of riff. He has a different kind of way of writing riffs than the other guys in the band, and every once in a while, they come out with an Adrian song, and you're like, they never could have written this song during the 4 albums when Adrian was out of the band. And Passchendaele is absolutely one of those tracks. So Passchendaele from Dance to Death.
Great choice.
Yes. Dave Murray also has a pretty distinctive way of writing some riffs, like, because you take like Deja Vu, Charlotte the Harlot, they're both they're all very intricate, you know, they go note, back and forth.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah.
All right, let's take a look at the charts.
Yeah, I'm loving the overlap continues, which is great.
Yep.
And
Now we got Deja Vu.
And there are many a pie slice again.
Look at Somewhere in Time growing. And Challenging Power Slave. We finally have the X Factor with a double slice. We have Brave New World with a double slice. Peace of Mind is still pretty chunky. Number of the Beast has grown. But the B-sides clearly the winners here tonight.
So Jeff,
Yep.
Jeff, is there a difference between is there a way to tell a difference between an 11 pick and a 1 pick? Like, is there any weight?
I'm not weighting them at the moment, but that is something you could do where like you multiply the number 1 pick by 11 to give it 11 points. Or that's
I was just curious. Yeah. Okay.
This may or may not be foreshadowing towards future lists that we have planned for 2021. Harrison, you're up. You're taking us into the top 3.
All right, back to Brave New World with probably my favorite song on the album. Dream of Mirrors is pretty good too, but it was played live. We have The Fallen Angel. And of all the songs that I've already mentioned about, ramps up the chorus payoff, great verses, this is easily the best of them, hence why it's here. It's really heavy. You got this great bass from Steve Harris, and the harmony payoff on that chorus, the vocal harmony, is just so good. And of course, the ramping up, you and only God will know what could be done. You and only God will know I am the chosen one. Obviously sings a heck of a lot better than I do, but and then of course, like, it's that moment where you ramp up, and then it's like there's just a slight moment, second, like half a second, and then you get hit with the chorus, and like that's those a lot of those songs with that has made my list because that really hits hard me. I love songs where it's like relentless. You go verse straight into chorus, straight into solo, straight back into chorus. Like really up tempo, really relentless songs, basically.
Cool.
I just have a short anecdote in relating to that song. I had a customer at the record store that we called Tony Macaroni. I believe he was an insurance salesman, but he was always looking for good traditional sounding metal. So when Brave New World came out, obviously I wanted him to hear it because I thought it'd be right up his alley. And he took off his headphones and put them down. He said, I can't listen to this. It's too satanic. And I think it was that song, the reference to Azazel, that
opening line, I believe.
Sorry?
Opening line, I believe.
Yeah. Azazel is behind you or beside you.
Yeah.
It also didn't help that I previously had played for him Bruce Dickinson's Chemical Wedding CD, which,
Crowley, isn't it?
I don't know if I would call any of that content necessarily satanic, but there's certainly biblical references on there and alchemy references and definitely some weird stuff. A song like Jerusalem probably offended him. Anyway, that's my story for that.
Yeah, I hear you.
We'll go to Aaron for his number 3, and he's doubled up on The Duelists from Power Slave.
There you go.
If you're going to pick a fencing song.
That doesn't surprise me.
You know what? You know what we should have done? Regrets. We should have got Jeff to graph the songs by subject matter so we could have like demons, sword fighting, World War II, the Crimea. But The Duelist is sword fighting, and that's Aaron's number 3.
Nice.
Take us on, Meat Man.
Me. Okay. A little short start to my story here of this. I was very lucky to see Iron Maiden 7 times, and I mean, obviously, I've enjoyed seeing Iron Maiden a lot. And the 6th time I saw them, I believe it was 2006. I'm not positive on that, but it was the 6th time. And I remember we went up with Tom Morwood, Zachary Britton was there, Ernie Morwood, Tyler Jeanneret. I can't remember any. There's a bunch more, but anyway, I remember I literally, from the drive from Kitchener to Toronto, I spent the whole time bitching and upset that I was going to see Iron Maiden. Yeah, and more than I ever have before. I was like, oh, I'm going to hear Run to the Hills again. I'm going to hear Number of the Beast again. I'm going to hear The Prisoner again. I was getting upset like the whole time, and then I was drinking and getting more adamant about it. And this whole time just going, here we go. I'm going to hear the same crap again. And what happens? They go out and play from beginning to end A Matter of Life and Death. That was the show. Yeah. And I don't know if I've ever had more fun at a show because I was so shocked. I was so upset that I was going to hear all the same crap. And I didn't. I heard a whole album from beginning to end, and it was just an amazing experience. So my number 3 has to be from A Matter of Life and Death, Brighter Than a Thousand Suns.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Amazing. Love. So, there you go.
Dude,
Beautiful.
I think it's only made one reappearance in set lists since then, and that miffs me so much. It was played on the opening night of the 2010 leg of the Final Frontier tour. It was Dallas.
How do you know this?
Because I love Brighter Than a Thousand Suns. So I'm like, where was it played live? I need to see it played live.
Well, you are a
It's such a
connoisseur
great
of browsing the YouTubes for live versions
I
of
love
everything.
live albums.
In fact, one of my favorite features on Harrison's site is every Sunday he does a countdown of the best versions of various tracks. And a lot of the time he pulls out obscure live versions from YouTube. So Lana was going to suggest The Fallen Angel, so good for you, Harrison.
But with A Matter of Life and Death getting played in its entirety, I read in Bruce's book that they were planning on, they were considering doing Seventh Son of the Seventh Son live in its entirety as well at the time. And I wish they'd done that, because I reckon then, if they'd done that then, not only would we get live versions of the last 2 songs, but I reckon the fandom would have been a lot more receptive to A Matter of Life and Death being done in full, because they'd have a history of it with Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
I like
That's not a
your
bad
idea.
point. I mean, like, it was special. It was literally special. And honestly, it would have been pretty much as special if they would have played all of Seventh Son, just because it wouldn't have been all the same tunes that you're always expecting. But even more when, like, I didn't even know the album that well that time. Like, I had heard it, I think once or twice, but like all of a sudden now I'm experiencing the whole album from beginning to end live. It was gorgeous. It was perfect.
I think that the Seventh Son tour, we're getting a bit off topic here, is one of the greatest set lists because it has so many songs that weren't played live much and stuff, and barely any that was on Live After Death. You've got like Killers, Die With Your Boots On, Still Life, Moonchild, that was the opening track. But you got like so many songs that didn't make it onto Live After Death. It's a really good counterpart to Live After Death, made in England. Infinite Dreams, of course.
Yeah, good choices. Yeah, that's interesting.
Kevin really likes your Brighter Than a Thousand Suns pick. It's his favorite from that album.
My second favorite after Ben Breed.
T-Bone has a great comment here, and I am going to ask Harrison Kopp to come back in 2021 for the Iron Maiden Best Album Covers List show. He's personally
album covers.
Well, I'm going to include singles on this one so we can have a broader palette. But I want to do this in 2021. Let's bookmark T-Bone's idea.
I read Maiden covers and I thought, oh, you mean like I can't see my feelings and stuff.
No, he means the artwork.
Yeah.
And this is something we can discuss when we get there. How many black cats? Because Derek Riggs loved putting the black cats and the Grim Reaper on his covers. So I guess I'm next, and I'm going to do.
I'll gladly return for that list.
I'm going to do something different for my number 3. Because I decided that I'm not doing my final 3. My number 3. I was talking to the Meat Man about this earlier, and I decided that For the Greater Good of God is not deep enough for my list because it was brought back for this tour. This is a brand new release, so to me, I cannot have anything from this album as a deep cut because it's brand new. Just my thinking, okay? So I was going to have For the Greater Good of God from Matter of Life and Death. I decided instead I was going to do something from Final Frontier, and now I'm looking at Final Frontier and picking a song. I have chosen When the Wild Wind Blows from the Final Frontier. It's the closing track. It's a bit of an epic. It is 11 minutes long, and it's kind of a neat little, it has a light part, it has a heavy part, and it's a nice little story. I like to consider it documenting the bunker episode of The Simpsons, where they think the meteor is going to hit Springfield and they all hide in the bunker. And that's what the song is about. It's about, we think the end of the world is coming, but we're wrong. So When the Wild Wind Blows from the Final Frontier album is my number 3.
There you go.
So this should shake it up quite a bit now.
That's gonna please Lana. Some more later Maiden.
Yeah. So yeah, Final Frontier is now looking strong. Matter of Life and Death looking strong. Brave New World also looking strong. Virtual 11 surprisingly strong. We have the X Factor with only 1, and Killers with only 1. This and Seventh Son is now starting to beef up a little bit, but looks like Power Slave is now in second place instead of Somewhere in Time.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. It could still
Not a
catch
big
the
shock.
other two.
Yeah, although we are down to the last 2 rounds. So Harrison, please, without further ado, let's hear your number 2.
Only the Good Die Young.
Ha-ha!
See?
It's got this
More
great
backstretching.
harmony riff. It's got this great harmony riff. It's at this breakneck pace. Singing on the verses. It's quite irregular for Maiden. They don't really do that style, but it works. It works really well in the context of the song. And Bruce does get to let loose on the chorus. But my favorite bit has to be how it all quiets down for this bass solo, and you get this bass solo that still keeps the tempo up. And of course, Steve Harris bass solo is a very rare thing, so that's good in itself. But just as the bass solo ends, you get this smashing return to the original harmony riff. Easily my favorite part of the song. Now.
What a great song that is. I mean, I couldn't agree more.
This is so. I'm loving every second of this. By the way,
It's an awesome
wow.
list.
Okay, Aaron Stewart, his number 2.
Wow.
Holy shit!
Do we have a 4?
Only the Good Die Young from Seventh Son.
Wow.
I have a feeling that song is going to be in the middle of the Venn diagram. Wow. Only the Good Die Young.
That's all 4 lists. Is that the first song?
Yeah.
First song, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Perfect.
thought that
Way to
would
go,
be a
Aaron.
bit deep for Aaron, but color me corrected.
Way to go, Aaron. What's your number 2, Eric?
My number 2. Okay. I believe this is going to turn up to a certain album, but I will let the people decide on this. This song, supposedly, and this has been talked about already, Steve Harris has said that he thinks a mistake was made, that Gangland should have been taken off, and this song should have been on. The song Total Eclipse is so good. I love that it's kind of nasty, and it's also kind of pretty, and then it's kind of nasty, and then the song is great. It's great writing. It's great playing. I guess we would have to say it's part of Number of the Beast, right?
It's been added
Depends.
to Number of the Beast, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Depends
there
what
you go.
era of fan you are. If you got the 1998 remasters, it's Number of the Beast. Like
Okay.
it's a Number of the Beast song for me.
But
If
hear me
you're
out.
from
Hear me out. If we're including the Japanese bonus tracks from the X Factor as the X Factor, we have to include Total
Fair
Eclipse
enough, yes.
as Number of the Beast. So let's switch that to Number of the Beast.
Beast it is.
So what are your thoughts on
to
that?
be fair,
Harrison?
you couldn't get Total Eclipse on Number of the Beast when Number of the Beast was released, but you could get the offcuts that were Japanese tracks on X Factor when X Factor was released. So there is a slight difference. But anyway, I'll get to Total Eclipse.
There is a slight difference, but as far as I'm concerned, it is now a part of the album.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm curious what you think of it.
It's not my favorite song on Number of the Beast. It would be in my bottom half of song. It starts off good, but I just think after the second half, it kind of just loses I just lose interest in it.
I love
Just
it.
sort of meanders away.
I love it. You know, I'd almost wonder, you know, there could be some merit to, maybe I love it because I got sick of the whole album of Number of the Beast, and all of a sudden, like, after delving in more, like, what does this song? And like, oh, and this song's great. So I don't always hear it. So if I'm over at a buddy's place and we happen to be listening to Number of the Beast, we don't hear Total Eclipse because he doesn't have it. So when I hear it, it's kind of new. So maybe that's why I like it. I don't know.
That's fair. Total Eclipse is one of the first Maiden songs I knew because weirdly enough, my sister bought the single for Run for the Hills at Sellers at Stanley Park Mall. And
Very weird.
I think I don't know why she bought it. I know that she probably won't like me saying this, but there was a period when we were really young where she kind of wanted to emulate me. And, you know, she was kind of copying me with a lot of stuff. You know, she was playing with G.I. Joes and Transformers and starting to get into heavy metal. But then right after that, she just sharp break and she decided she didn't want to be like me anymore. She started listening to the Pointer Sisters and Corey Hart.
Good.
But we did, and thus she gave me the Run to the Hills single. So I've had Total Eclipse in my collection for a long time. My number 2, we're going to the Book of Souls album one more time. And I had a hard time picking just one track from the album. So I chose to highlight Tears of a Clown, which is kind of an odd song title for Iron Maiden. It's not a very Maiden-y song title or subject matter. It's about Robin Williams. And I've always been touched by the song. It might not be it's not the strongest song on the Book of Souls, but I think it's probably the strongest lyric that they've written in a long time. So Tears of a Clown from Book of Souls is my number 2.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
I love the Book of Souls.
Yeah,
I like Tears of a Clown.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the graph up. And things have changed dramatically. Wow. Look at Power Slave. Wow. Book of Souls now has got 2. Final Frontier 2. Look at all the 2s. The only ones with 1 track are the X Factor,
Killers,
Virtual
11.
And sorry, not the X Factor. Yeah, you're right. I'm having a hard time following the lines here. Virtual 11, Fear of the Dark.
Zero Iron Maiden?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first album hasn't shown up at all.
And No Prayer as well.
I mean,
that will change, apparently, we're told.
The entire debut has been played live. In fact, the entire debut has been played live with Bruce, except for Strange World. Yeah.
Wow.
Funny, on Bruce's farewell tour, on the real live tour, you know, Bruce's last hurrah, they played so many songs from that first album. You got Remember Tomorrow, Transylvania, Sanctuary, Running Free, Iron Maiden. Of course, Iron Maiden has to be on there. And they missed, like, Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, that's weird.
Interesting.
Huh. That's weird.
Oh, Prowler, too. Prowler made it onto the real live tour as well. Like, literally the entire first album made it onto Bruce's hurrah tour. And I'm like, that's an odd choice.
Did you know this, Jeff? The Pointer Sisters did that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 song. Did you know that?
No, I know the song, but I didn't know it was them. That's funny.
That's cool.
11, 12.
Okay, so we're in the very, 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 very last round. Harrison Kopp, what is your final selection from No Prayer for the Dying?
We know that.
Would you like to take a guess?
Yeah, I would like to take a guess. I can't remember exactly our discussions about that album in the past, so I'm going to say Mother Russia.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Yeah,
This song, to me, is the definition of epic. You have this dual guitar opening, and this dual guitar opening gives way to these atmospheric keyboards. And then you get one of the best riffs for headbanging ever recorded. And then once you have like verse, chorus of that, this riff just transitions straight into more of those keyboards. And then that goes into soloing. And then that returns like as the dual guitars, as it slows down from the up tempo soloing, it just like does this real epic dual slowdown back to this great riff. I really love it when epics, even though it's only like 5.5, I love it when epics return to the original riff. It's like rewards you for listening to it. Like it's one of the reasons I don't listen to Maiden, Japan, Space Trucking so much, because it just peters out. There's no like payoff for listening to the whole Richie just noodling for ages. Anyway, back to Mother Russia. Yeah, it's like the song Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, but it's got without the concept album fluff. Not that the concept album fluff is bad, but it only belongs on the concept album. It's a lot more compact and it really works. Although I will say the soloing frenzy in Seventh Son of the Seventh Son is superior to Mother Russia.
It's really funny that you brought that up, because my high school buddy Andy Kandek always used to say Mother Russia was just Seventh Son of the Seventh Son light. And it's shorter. I think it's only, a shade over 5 minutes long.
Like 5:21, I think.
Right. Because Maiden were going for shorter songs at that time, and that was considered an epic for the No Prayer for the Dying album. Wow. I'm going to salute Harrison for an amazing list.
Yeah, that's a good list.
Thank you.
Very, very cool that we've basically gotten every album except for the first, but we still have one more round to go. We have Aaron Stewart. Aaron Stewart went for his last song to the Dance of Death album.
Ooh.
And he picked the closing track, Journeyman.
Wow, that's an interesting way to end off.
I'm kind of curious if that's an epic length song. I'm just going to go to the.
That's a real deep cut.
It is a deep cut.
Yeah. Very.
Somewhat of a long bomber. It is 7 minutes long. It is not one of the longest songs on the album, but yeah, fairly long. And man, we've had so many good picks. Journeyman is a great song. I guess it has sort of something in common with the one that I picked last time, When the Wild Wind Blows. It has sort of that light ending to the album. There's a lightness to both of those songs. Brilliant pick by Aaron Stewart. This list is done, my friends.
Nice.
Meatman, what's your closing number?
Okay. Well, my number one song is my second favorite Iron Maiden song of all time. And it's funny because it reminds me of Sausage Fest, because I have voted for this in the past at Sausage Fest. And and lately it kind of reminds me of Harrison, because the last time I spoke about Sausage Fest, I joked to the Sausage Fest people that I was going to vote for 100 songs from the from ELO, that I was just going to do 100 ELO songs, which I still
proof of that.
Yeah, so would I. I'd love every second of it. But my favorite song by Iron Maiden of all time is definitely Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Everything about it, love, just inside and out, beginning to end, lyrics, everything. But my number two is from Somewhere in Time. And it is the longest title you could possibly find, because it is The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. Love the song. One of my favorite rock songs of all time. The lyrics are great. The vocal lines are great. Just it's beautiful, and it had to be my number one, because it's almost my favorite song by the band ever. So there it is.
I said it already, but that outro is just so good. That guitar outro for Loneliness. I am surprised the title track didn't make it. I couldn't, because it played live, but it is one of my favorite Maiden openers.
I tended to avoid a lot of openers. Like I didn't use Moonchild, and I didn't use Caught Somewhere in Time.
I get where you're coming from, like, because an opener can't be a deep cut, because it's put there because they want it to open the album,
It's only a deep cut if the album's a dog, really.
True.
And
that's fair.
Yeah, and Maiden don't really have. If there were any Maiden albums you would consider a dog,
nope, no.
The opening tracks on them are not deep cuts at all. Like Sign of the Cross.
Tail Gunner is the worst Iron Maiden song ever.
Well, it's a single anyway, so it doesn't count.
I know, but it's still the worst.
Ooh, here's a good pick. Drifter.
Yeah, we got that one on hold. Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah, we did. I'm stalling, I guess, because I got to go next, and then it's the end. But I
can stall just one bit longer by asking. by reminding Meat of that time. Labrine has informed me that Angel and the Gambler made a Sausage Fest countdown.
True. It's
It
true.
did.
I haven't heard of that.
Was it the
It
single
did.
edit or the full enchilada?
The pardon? Sorry.
Was it the full song or the single edit?
It was a Sausage Fest edit. They cut it
Yeah.
short.
I believe.
Just an
I
edit.
believe. I believe it was edited. Yeah.
It wasn't the single edit, though. It was a fade out with Tom saying, "We've had enough of that." Scott Peddle's still watching. Is anybody mentioned Prodigal Son?
No, that's
Holden.
really funny.
It was Holland's number 3 pick.
Okay, so it wasn't one of the Graft songs. It was one of the earlier lists. There you go.
Mm.
So here we go with the last song. It's a repeat number. A little bit of science fiction. A little bit of space fantasy from the planet Arrakis. From the one they call Muad'Dib. It's To Tame a Land.
Oh, yeah.
Peace of
Wow. Wow. That was my number 10. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a song that started to appeal to me later in life. I had a story this week talking about my relationship with the Peace of Mind album, and I kind of had a rediscovery of that album in 2006 when I started reading Frank Herbert and the first Dune, and all of a sudden understood the lyrics. So that made me dive back into the album, and I fucking memorized every line, which is not an easy song to memorize. I can't do it anymore, but he was the Quetzalcoatl Haderach. He was born of Caladan and will take the Gom Jabbar. He has the power to foresee or to look into the past. He is the ruler of the stars. I can still do it. I can still do it.
I think you'd really like the Dream Theater cover.
I have
I'd
it.
like you to hear it once. Just go on YouTube. It's there. Just play it sometime once. I'm just curious of your thoughts.
It was on a very rare Kerrang exclusive Maiden tribute CD.
It's easy to find on YouTube.
Yeah, on
Play it
YouTube
once.
it's fine. CD, not so much. And yes, there's a Dune reference.
Well, the CD is actually, it's the last album with Mike Portnoy, and the covers that they do on that album are epic.
Wait, what are you talking about? I have it on a Kerrang Maiden tribute album.
No, it's called Black Clouds and Silver Linings. It's the last album that has been done by Mr. Mike Portnoy. The covers on that album are epic. There's To Tame a Land. There's Stargazer by Rainbow. There is Larks in Tongue's Aspect by King Crimson. And there's also Tenement Funster and Flick of the Wrist and one other song from Queen. The covers are just the album's it's glorious. So
okay, yes, you are right. That was re-released on that. I originally had it on the Kerrang tribute CD, where Metallica covered "Remember Tomorrow."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess this calls for the last graphs.
Mm-hmm.
We had every album except for the first one.
That's
Only
a beautiful
one song
graph.
each from Killers. Seventh Son. No, not Seventh Son. Fear of the Dark only had one song. The X Factor only had one song.
No Prayer had one.
No Prayer. That's the one that I can't see the title of.
No, that's not X Factor. That's VXI that got one. X Factor had two.
What was like a top 3 for albums? I can't really see it very well.
Other, which is the B-sides. Power Slave and Somewhere in Time. Power Slave and Somewhere in Time appear to be tied.
Yeah, they both got 5 total song choices.
And Peace of Mind and Seventh Son are also tied, I believe.
Yep, that's correct. But the Seventh Son's a bit misleading, as that's all the same song.
And speaking of that, can we see the Venn diagram?
It's coming, yeah. So
it's coming.
Stall.
Robert Daniels with the absolute best comment so far.
What did he say? I can't see it.
Fear of the graph. Fear of the graph. And
That's it.
yo. Nobody picked Die With Your Boots On. The reason I did not
one
is
did.
because it is already on Live After Death. I excluded anything from that album.
Yep,
Does anyone think that the
that's
Police
true.
was Walking on the Moon used Drifter's chant, or was it the other way around? I personally think it's a coincidence, but that's an interesting question.
I wouldn't be surprised if Diano was a Police fan.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I guess
I'm
who,
not
had,
a Police
connection
fan.
there.
who hadn't heard that
Punk
song,
connection.
I guess, at that time.
And because that chant was debuted live, it's quite probable that maybe it was inspired and Diano wanted to pay tribute live.
Yeah. And look at this. We just sold an Iron Maiden album tonight.
Somewhere in Time, I don't consider it the best 80s Maiden album, but I consider it's my favorite. It's just got this real, like the whole sound of it, this cold synthy sound to it.
Yeah.
I just really like the songs.
Yeah, I like
yeah.
him
I
too.
know Martin Popoff has described that kind of stuff with the word clanky. And I get that. I hear the clanky, but I have such a warm nostalgia for Somewhere in Time. Like that was my Maiden album when I was in grade 9.
See, I think there's a writing difference when we're talking about back-to-back albums of Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son. We're talking about two albums that are exceptionally well written. Both of those albums are just stellar, I think.
Kevin has never heard Live After Death, so he's picking all of them. No
Oh.
problem.
Wow.
No.
If Buried on Mars does want to get Live After Death, make sure he gets the latest 2020 version because it's got extra tracks from the B-sides of the singles of the time. Yeah, they re-released it. It's got Lost for Words, Sanctuary, and Murders in the Rue Morgue recorded at Hammersmith. So it is the complete Live After Death now.
I didn't know that. Wow. That's cool.
She ordered it because someone on YouTube said it was underappreciated.
It is. The Maiden boys don't play much from it.
But again, context is important. This is the late 80s now that Maiden are going into, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one of the heaviest metal groups out of England starts using synthesizers. So it was always...
The problem is you can't make heavy metal with synthesizers.
What's that? Sorry, Harrison?
The problem is you can't make heavy metal with synthesizers.
That's
what he told the Polish guy, remember? In 84 or 83.
Is that
Bruce.
what they said?
Yeah, the early days DVD. Bruce, there's a clip of Bruce talking to this Polish guy in like 83 or 84 on tour, and he's just like, you can't make heavy metal with synthesizers.
Well, they changed their tune on
Yeah,
that.
they did. Just like Queen.
I seem to recall Wasted Years. That's on Somewhere in Time, right?
Yeah.
I'm just losing my mind right now. The album, the movie, A Maiden 666, the flight.
Yeah.
Flight 666, yeah.
There was a version where they play Wasted Years, and Adrian Smith sings part of it, and it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it so much.
Bruce usually lets him do the second line of the chorus and back.
I love it.
Yeah.
Does it sound great? It sounds great with him.
And there's an album that I completely forgot about. We're talking about all these live albums. I completely forgot En Vivo existed, and I completely forgot Flight 666 existed. There's so much. So much. And now there's this. Like, we just...
I don't know anything about that new album. What is it?
Okay, so this is the last tour that they did, The Legacy of the Beast, which... the as the title suggests, it's a lot of legacy numbers. So oldies, Aces High, Where Eagles Dare, 2 Minutes to Midnight, with a couple newer songs, The Klansman, The Trooper, Revelations, For the Greater Good of God, Wicker Man, Sign of the Cross, Flight of Icarus, Fear of the Dark, Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden, The Evil That Men Do, Hallowed Be Thy Name, and Run to the Hills. So kind of a legacy set with some newer numbers sprinkled in. Nothing from the Book of Souls, though, because they played a huge number of those tracks on the Book of Souls live chapter.
They tend to do that a lot, though. They'll completely forget about the album, the previous album, and completely forget it. They do that a lot.
Yeah.
And, whatever.
We usually do get a live album from every tour in the reunion era.
The only one we did.
Yeah, except the A Matter of Life and Death tour.
And then there was another one we didn't get a live album for either.
We didn't get the A Matter of Life and Death tour when they played it in its whole, and neither did we get A Matter of the Beast when they changed up the set. Bruce actually said they were recording Donington 07, but that never surfaced. We didn't get leg 1 of the Final Frontier tour in 2010, and I really want that because it is just packed with reunion era. You got Passchendaele, you got, I think, I'll look up the set list now because it's such a good set list. You get Dance of Death.
Are you
it's
saying?
one of,
Go on.
yeah. All right. The 2010 set list was, where are we? You had Wicker Man, Ghost of the Navigator, Wrathchild, Eldorado, Dance of Death, Benjamin Brieg, These Colors Don't Run, Blood Brothers, Wildest Dreams, No More Lies, Brave New World, and then you have Fear of the Dark, Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, Hallowed, Running Free, and Brighter Than a Thousand Suns was played in Dallas, and Passchendaele was played on a couple shows. That is a killer set list. I really
For
like
reunion era Maiden, that is hot stuff.
Yeah.
That is hot stuff.
So I'm just curious. Just a quick question for Harrison. Are you saying that there never was a recording, like a good recording of them doing the Matter of Life and Death tour total? Like,
we haven't had a live album release, and I did. Ladano has a bootleg from it.
Which we in the car.
Yeah, I did. There is hope for all these tours because I watched the. It was the Death on the Road documentary behind the scenes, and at one point, Steve Harris or someone else said, "Oh, we're recording every date on this tour so that we can pick the best performances." So I'd hope and I'd expect, especially given how rich these guys are, basically, that they record every date for every tour going forward for potential live albums. So I'm pretty sure they've got recordings. And after Somewhere in Time, they really regretted not recording that. I doubt they'd let a tour go without recording at least one date.
I agree.
I'm sure it's there in the can.
Oh, interesting.
Well, Jeff, how was the graph looking?
Very close. Very close.
Okay. I'll just put some comments up here. Jeff is not being paid enough. I agree.
That's true.
We haven't really discussed compensation yet.
It's doing Venn diagrams is it's like a Christmas morning. It's good.
The Soundhouse tapes. There you go.
Yeah.
I would love an actual official copy. I just have a bootleg.
I've got Best of the Beast 2 CD, so I have Iron Maiden and Strange World from the Soundhouse tapes. And I my preference for Iron Maiden is the Soundhouse tapes version.
I wish I had bought Best of the Beast on vinyl when I saw it back in '96 at Dr. Disc in Hamilton or London, one of those places. Now, Best of the Beast on vinyl is ridiculously expensive, especially in good condition, and it has tons of exclusive material, including the entire Soundhouse tapes reissued.
A new cut of Revelations.
The exclusive live version of Revelations that you can only get on that vinyl. One day.
Yeah. I haven't done an A/B test, but it might. I don't know why it would be, but it's possible it was from the same Dortmund show. I haven't compared them because we got the Dortmund show released on DVD, so it's possible it's from that. Of course, it could be from some completely other show. But,
yeah. Well, I would like to. It's going to be a very expensive. You know what? Just for the fun of it, let's look it up on Discogs. Let's see what one of those things goes.
Is this going to be another?
No, I'm not ordering anything, man. It's Christmas time.
Behave.
And, I am tapped out. I just am curious, for the sake of today's discussion, what one of these goes for on vinyl right now. So I'm looking up the vinyl version. Where is it? Where is it?
Jen is getting upset.
Everything says C. It's almost like Discogs doesn't have a listing of it. Oh, wait, view all. I had to view all. Vinyl, cassette. No. There it is, 4LP. Let's take a look at that. Whoa. US dollars. $540.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
That's like 700, 750 AUD.
Holy
Jesus.
shit.
And I think AUD roughly is very similar to Canadian.
What
dollar.
is it? What is it that's it's so expensive? What is
It has the entire Soundhouse tapes reissued,
Oh
and
yeah,
an
okay.
exclusive live version of Revelations that's not on the CD. There are copies ranging, and I don't know why oh my god, there it converts it to Canadian, so I'll give you the Canadian prices.
Oh no.
The
Do you
most
really want to say that?
the mint condition copy that is available to ship to Canada here, $1,100. A very good copy, $1,100. Okay, so maybe I'm never gonna own this. Fuck, I could have got it for about $250 back in '96. Meat.
Yep.
I need to go
I bet
back
you
and
could've.
slap myself.
I'm still looking for BBC archives and best of the B-sides for a reasonable price. I got Beast Over Hammersmith for $35, including shipping, so I'm chuffed with that. But I'm still looking for the others.
I think Morwood picked one of those recordings from Over Hammersmith or one of those on his Sausage Fest list, didn't he? Or he teased it anyway.
What one?
Something of
The
Maiden.
Hammersmith.
I think so.
Yeah, Another Life.
Might have been
Hammersmith-
another. Yeah.
Hammersmith
Yeah.
has some great renditions. You got Wrathchild with that ungodly scream from Bruce. You've got like Drifter with all the lazy bastards from EMI are up the back.
Oh man. Ugh, that's great stuff. Let's see if we got any more.
That's
There's
very
tons of comments here. Rob Daniels would have been probably more of a Maiden fan if he knew they were singing songs about Dune. What is the Frank Herbert quote, Harrison? They wanted to use.
I don't know that one, but I think it's something along the lines Mr. Herbert does not like rock bands, and he certainly doesn't like heavy metal bands, or something like that. I think that's
And he
what Rob
certainly
thought.
doesn't like heavy rock bands like Iron Maiden.
Yeah, something
So
like
they
that.
wanted to call the song Dune, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And they couldn't because the Herbert, well, not the Herbert estate, but Herbert himself said no way. Which
Eddie
kind of,
got to him shortly after.
I would think that would have took the wind out of their sails a little bit, but it's still made two lists. I guess the Venn diagram will tell us when we get there.
It did make two.
Murders in the Rue Morgue did not make any lists today.
No.
Jeff looks like he's the only one doing any serious work.
Sorry, I'm probably I don't have the screen, so I probably look really intense here.
Yeah, you totally do. It looks
Yeah.
like the Venn diagram is ready.
So it's so I've just shared the slide. Are you able to open the slides already? So if you start on the first one here, so here's where I ran into trouble. Actually, I'll switch to does it make it bigger if it's in presentation mode here?
Okay.
Is that any bigger?
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So this is the 4 circle one that I got, thinking life was good, everything's great, and you'll notice like, can you see the mouse when I'm going over it like that?
No.
No, okay, so the mouse. So you'll notice how there's the A, B, C, D around the sides.
Yeah.
So for you guys, Harrison had 7 that were just on his list, and Aaron, LeBrain, and Meat each had 6. But then I ran into a bit of a wall on the second slide because when I got to here, if you'll see, we need to have A and C overlapping, but A and C don't overlap without B and D.
I see.
And so I ran into a bit of a conundrum there. So what I did, I ended up getting one of those oval ones from online. And so I switched to have the a little bit more intense oval one. And this is where we have the dual lists for the dual lists of all things. So
Wow.
Yeah. So these guys, like where AC is Aaron and LeBrain overlapping, AD is Aaron and Meat overlapping, BC Harrison LeBrain, and CD LeBrain and Meat. So those are the ones that showed up twice. And then we've got it got a little bit easier at this part where Burning Ambition made 3 appearances in the overlapping oval of Harrison, LeBrain, and Meat. And then finally, the one I was very excited to see, that midpoint of the Venn diagram, Only the Good Die Young, all 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe that Kevin is right. You're the only one that was working. And I believe that T-Bone is right, that you are not being paid enough. There's a reminder right there. He's not being paid enough. Lana had to go. I think she missed the graphs. That's too bad. She'll catch it tomorrow. I don't think Maiden were ever in the running to do the score for the 84 Dune film. Frank Herbert didn't like rock, but could do nothing except stop the title, which is 100% correct.
That's right.
Tell Jeff to stop. My brain just exploded. Bruce called Frank Herbert an arsehole. That's funny. Wow. That's some impressive graphing there, Jeff.
It's
Will you
awesome.
be so
Thanks,
kind
Jeff.
To,
Oh,
now,
my pleasure.
the
Awesome.
emails that you sent me before, do I just open them and I get, or do you have to send me new emails with these graphs in them?
I think those ones should be shared, but I can export them as PowerPoints in Excel if that's easier, because it's in the Google format right now. But I can send you an email as well.
Yeah, just so I can include these amazing graphs as. Wow! And some little
I'm looking forward to watching this tomorrow when to see if I can find the moment where, like, my face sort of the circles don't overlap. What do I do?
That's great.
This is not just a picture of a cabbage behind me. It is actually a pie chart showing all the Maiden songs that are awesome. I
Except Tail Gunner and Invaders.
Sure. Okay, Harrison, we'll let you have it. I got to tell you guys something. I personally think this is maybe the best list show we've ever done. I really
just really like. I really find that the list, there was enough stuff together that people really agreed on, and I just think I think all four lists were just really good.
They were really good. And so were the preamble lists. They were also good. The graphs were great. The discussion was great. The comments were on point. I really enjoyed hopping on a bronze leg. Whoever you are, thank you for joining us tonight. Really enjoyed your perspective. Thank you, T-Bone, for showing up tonight. I don't know what that is. Looks like a chicken.
Hands clapping.
Is that what it looks more like? A chicken. And Jeff, I don't know how to thank you for everything.
And it's a testament to the group too, that like 40, like however many decades they've been going, and there's songs from 1981 all the way to 2016 and everywhere in between. So just amazing that they're that consistent for that long.
Big time. I was talking to T-Bone offline earlier, and he was telling me he didn't realize how long Maiden have been going on. Yeah. And I said, well, listen, like the earliest Maiden track in my collection is actually 1979. Which is on the Eddie's Archive set. There were some 1979 BBC recordings, and they're so old.
What about Metal for Mothers?
About the same time period, I think.
Yeah, would have been. Yeah, I love the versions of Sanctuary and Wrathchild on that. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no worries. Incidentally, those are also available on the Virus B-sides.
Yes, and I'm looking. I want to get Virus as well. I want to get Man on the Edge. All these ones where I can get these X Factor offcuts. This Metal for Mothers stuff on CD.
I can tell you that this stuff, not just that Best of the Beast record, but this stuff is expensive.
Yeah, very pricey.
Maiden collectors are willing to pay the price, and so the sellers are willing to charge the price. Really. Well, again, Jeff, I don't know how to thank you. This has been so awesome. So since I don't know how to thank you, let's quickly plug your site. 1001 albums in 10 years. Jeff is one by one reviewing all the albums from 1001 albums that you have to listen to before you die, the book. And
that's awesome.
I've said this before, but my favorite feature on your website is the Sunday quiz. And we have one more week.
The quiz number 50 is on Sunday, so last one of 2020. So.
And it's a neck and neck race.
It's going to be a photo finish, yeah.
It's a photo finish. It's literally Final Jeopardy.
Yeah.
So anything you want to say about your awesome site?
Oh, just it's 1001 albums in 10 years, WordPress.com, and again, it's been so neat meeting the friends of friends of friends through the community, and so it's just awesome stuff. Love the live stream. Keep it up.
My mom says we did a great show. Bronze Leg is from West Yorkshire.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And he has all their 7 inches. That's freaking great. Rob Daniels says that the opening was awesome, and it's really
Agreed.
funny you should say that because I kind of wanted to close on the Brain Train video
Mhm.
because I like it so much. So, guys, I'm going to
Well,
bid
before you do that,
Yeah.
before you do that, I just want to say quick, Jeff, it was awesome. Thank you. It was awesome being on with you, Mike. You know that I loved everything. It was great, and I got to give a shout out to Harrison. It's been a long time coming that we got a chance to do this. I really liked. I loved your list. You inspired me to make sure that I had a great list, and it was a lot of fun hanging with you, man. Way to
Thank
go.
you. Hopefully we can do it again many more
Right,
times.
so
For sure.
2021, we are definitely doing T-Bone's covers list.
Mm.
Everything's fair game, all the singles, everything fair game. We're
Good
doing
idea.
it, and you're doing it, Cop.
Yep.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I'm gonna hit the end credits theme, and I guess some of you I'll see next week, and some of you I won't. But
be
to everyone
there.
else, we'll see you next Friday.
Bye-bye.
Sounds good. Cheers, guys.
Awesome.
Enjoy the weekend.
Cheers. Ciao.
You know,
Great night.
The brain train. The brain train. Everybody get on board, see what the brain has got in store. Guaranteed 2,000 words or more. The brain train. The brain train. If rock and roll is what you crave, it's guaranteed to make your day. Stick around and what they've got to say. The brain train. The brain train. Yes, the list you never know, so just sit back, enjoy the show. This train goes everywhere you want to go. The brain train. The brain train.
Give me a one-way ticket to anywhere and a glazed donut.
To go.